This time it's going to go all the way to the sponge for one of these.
And the batsman is
Duplessis, life goes on, la 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 la, life goes on.
Indeed, so Faf du Plessis, who said he would have batted had he won the toss, is off with a nice, pleasing couple of leg side shots to go to 20. And South Africa, and he's defending his third ball back down the pitch to Sussex's Jofra Archer. Jofra's been pretty expensive today, David. But how do you think this England attack have gone about their business?
Well, just on for Jofra, I think the encouraging thing is that he's been getting pace and bounce. So I think his pace is up on what we saw in New Zealand on those dead tracks. But yeah, he's just had a few too many four balls.
He's in again now, the straight approach, and it's too straight, and it worked again through the onside by du Plessis. Again, this beautiful outfield will carry the ball all the way to the rope.
It's hard to speak up for Jofra as he's hit for two successive boundaries. So yeah, he's obviously been straying a little bit in terms of line and length. So yeah, maybe a bit of pressure building up on him now after sort of fairly fruitless tour of New Zealand, and he came on second change today, of course, returned to the Broad Anderson days.
Yeah, off to a flyer now after lunch. 89 for 3. Du Plessis this time's outside off stump. He's defending. He thought about driving it, but just checked his instincts but met it with a full face. Played it to cover, no run.
I thought that probably the best spell was Broad's second spell when he came back on, and despite looking very ill, and apparently by all accounts he's been ill and bedridden for 6 days, he actually asked a lot of questions and then got the valuable wicket of Hamza.
Yeah, Hamza, the top scorer so far with a 39 at number 3, but yes, Broad had him picked up at second step. There's a bouncer goes way over the head, and Butler's at full stretch to take that one in, ended the over. 89 for 3.
Certainly Broady looked pretty pleased when he got that wicket. I think you'll have seen nothing when Jimmy Anderson takes his second. Of course, his first wicket was from a nothing ball. A few tweets. Brian001 says, "Good morning from a soggy and cold Northampton." That's cheered all of us up. There was someone worse off than you. Hope you've had a great Christmas. I've got the TV on, the cricket, and the Safa Gorillas on the tune-in. Oh, they're polite enough for my visiting 6-year-old granddaughter. What are you saying, Brian? Are you saying that we're not polite enough to? Shrikant Kawali and a number of others are following us and staying tuned on that. And of course, the Duke of Umbridge, I hope you're still listening. Umbers, you've allowed us to call you that. And thank you for that. Yeah, I thought in terms of the bowlers, Rog, Curran, of course, as soon as he came into the attack, looked like he was going to take a wicket, and then he did.
His fourth ball, I think he struck, got rid of Aidan Markham, caught it mid-wicket.
But Jimmy, I don't know, hasn't looked like taking a wicket after that first ball.
Well, he's going to get another chance here because he is reintroduced into the attack. Coming in now from the Hennops River end, pulling it way down the leg side. Filth, well collected by Butler. Van der Dussen had no interest. He's the man taking strike for the South Africans on debut. He's 4-not out. Rassie van der Dussen, man who played some club cricket in Northern Ireland a few years ago.
Ooh. Did he really?
We all remember that.
Yeah.
How did he get on over there?
He did pretty. I think he got plenty. Yeah. Played for CI, as it's in the Church of Ireland, CI North. It's now known as two clubs which merged. But following the footsteps of A.B. de Villiers, who pulled up trees for Carrick Cricket Club as a youth. This one was played off his pads. England almost were up and appealing as Jimmy was a little bit of in-swing, and Van der Dussen planted that front pad. Didn't get a big stride in, but covered the swing, played it into the onside, couldn't get a run. But yes, he's come out in this rather callow-looking South African lineup with Hamza just playing his third test, although he was impressive, I thought. Hamza, he did stay leg side of the ball, and that was ultimately how Broad got him. Just hanging his bat at one that just left him a touch from back of a length. Anderson's back in now with 2 slips again with in swing, and Van der Dussen has to be right on it with defence back to the bowler.
Van der Dussen's initials are H.E.
Okay.
See if you can guess what.
Henrik is the first one.
Hendrik is one, yeah.
Hendrik. Erasmus. First for the
I
Razzie.
think,
Yeah.
You've been cheating there.
No. I think I'd seen Hendrik before, but Razzie has to be
Erasmus.
for Erasmus. Yeah. Not to be confused with Razzie Erasmus, the South African rugby coach. Good double as Razzie's. Oh, and this one's inside edged. More in swing from Anderson, targeting those pads, but Razzie will get a single down to long leg.
Or indeed to be confused with Murray Erasmus,
Indeed.
the stocky umpire.
He's in action in at the MCG overnight.
Yeah, and we've got Damasceno again on third umpire duties.
Okay.
Can you
So
rock and
England-
roll that for me?
England have had a good couple of years, but they're still, to make up for that, they're being followed around the world by Kumar Damasceno.
Yeah, he's one of the fallen from grace a bit. Kumar he used to be one of the good ones.
He's had 4 bad years, but I'm sure he'll come out of it soon.
Plessy waits. This one goes the other way from Jimmy. Lovely manipulation of the seam, but Faf has a good look, a little nod, and leaves it through to the keeper.
The Van der Dussen picture on his cricket info profile was a bit scary.
He's very high cheekboned, is Razzie. Very lean of face and figure. The more chunky Faf is down the other end, and England are putting out a deep square leg for him. Bairstow's gone out. He's just going to go a little bit wider in front of square. In front of some lovely grass banks there with big parasols all set up from the fans, enjoying a very sunny day. And again, a little bit of a way shape from Anderson, and nice over that. He shows he can move it both ways, but Faf leaves it alone. End of the over 90 for 3.
A few more tweets now as people are coming back to us after the lunch session, and Mog says there just aren't enough cricketing jingles with extensive use of auto-tune. Is that reference to people singing out of tune? I think, yeah. Dr. Leonie Hicks, Merry Christmas. Hello, Rog et al.
Hello.
Our
Leon.
boiler has broken, so we are relying on you to bring warmth.
Oh, Leonie here sent us that lovely tea cozy.
Yes,
Which
we send
sometimes
you
that-
back
yeah.
lots of warmth and very, very good wishes. And Rav is Ravi, are you listening to us or Guerrilla Cricket South Africa? That's only a question you can answer if you are listening to us. If so, let us know. Armchair Cricket Podcast is beginning the second session with a productive over. Maybe keeping the scoreboard ticking and not getting bogged down is the way to go for South Africa, considering a very experienced England attack. Evil Scooters, did someone accidentally trigger the jingle that should always be named?
Van der Dussen is going to turn a quick single into the onside. Bairstow goes to his right, and there's Van der Dussen to
Which
6.
jingle is that?
I
Rich?
think they were talking about a missing off spinner, South African off spinner,
Spinner
who
who's-
did play in India in their last series, but he's not in this squad. I
This
don't
is
think.
in jokes within in jokes.
Well, I'm afraid so. Maybe I think it's always nice to hear it, Fred. If you wanted to find it, if certain people are
well, he's not
referencing.
playing.
No, but the Bear put a lot of work into that jingle.
I don't think he did actually put a lot of work into it.
A lot of creative work into it. This one's full. A nice drive from Faf to the left of mid-off. He'll get a single. Didn't quite time it, but it was a nice shape in the shot.
I know, Rog, you've lost a few pounds recently, but you can't quite get into that microphone cozy that Leonie Hicks knitted for us.
Oh, it's a microphone cozy?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, I'll use it.
Which is lovely if you're watching on YouTube or Crick Tracker. And you'll see Rog warming his microphone.
Well, if Leonie, hopefully she can wrap up, but thank you for this lovely little treat. Van der Dussen defends a straight one from Archer back to him. Yeah, so Archer none for 37 from 6.3.
Yeah, it doesn't look too flattering, that, does
No.
it? It's over five and over.
Yeah, but that was 90 miles an hour, that delivery.
Yeah, it's getting up to speed.
Or just under, actually, 89.
I wonder, perhaps he'll test. Van der Dussen's a tall batsman, and perhaps England have some short ball plans for him. Archer's racing in again. 2 slips. This one's just on a length, and Van der Dussen just hangs in the crease, defends it a bit scrappily on the onside, a little bit inside edge, and Archer for the most has just tried to find a length. There was a near appeal on Duplessis, which was going over the stumps. I think his first ball was very well left by Hamza, that just described an arc over the top of off stump. But yeah, we're seeing his pitch map now. He's tended to go good and full, but he has some of his bouncers have gone way over the head, and this one's back of a length on the hip. They'll get a scrappy single, maybe even a leg by. Yes, umpire. Who's that? Gaffney, of course, signalled leg by. Butler
Dean
did the feeling. Yep.
Wasn't he in the EastEnders?
He was, yeah.
Which won't mean much to our worldwide audience, but
What was his character's name? He had the dog.
Wellard.
Wellard's owner. Yeah, Wellard was the dog.
Not Ricky or something, was he?
No, and Ricky was Sid something.
Oh yes,
Yeah, Sid Owen.
yeah.
Only 3 of his Archer's balls would have hit the stumps. This is a short one, but Duplessis able to duck inside it. Quite a good length, but just a bit over the top of off stump. And it's the end of the over, 93 for 3.
Yes, a few people have joined us on Facebook, not least Annie Chave. Welcome, Annie. And Annie, of course, has done more than anyone to raise the issues involved in county cricket, implications of the 100 and all the deleterious consequences of that, as well as being an esteemed Guerrilla cricket contributor herself. Kishore Mystery says, how are you doing? Ali Variglu says, Kole Gelsin. And Henry Peterson says, how are you today? Well, we're good, thank you. And a lot of tweets coming in as well. Keep them coming. Let us know where you're listening to us. How are you spending the festive season? Where are you listening to us? Do let us know.
Especially if you're on holiday somewhere exotic.
Anderson's back on the money, and Van der Dussen defends.
Dean Gaffney played Robbie Jackson from 1993 to 2003 and 2017 to 2019.
Bianca's brother, I believe. Bianca got with Ricky. Yeah.
Yeah. Happy days.
And his brother went into umpiring, so well done, Dean.
Dr. Leonie is back in touch to say it's a tea cozy, but you seem to have used it as a beer cozy, mic cozy, or whatever needs cozy, including Roger.
Yeah, I do like
Roger's cosy enough.
I feel very cozy, wrapping my right hand as I describe this one from Anderson, left alone with good carry. Butler takes it about throat high with his gloves pointing up, but a good lead from Van der Dussen, who's finding his way into Test cricket. 22 balls for his 6 not out at the number 5 slot. But he was listed as 4. I don't know if you saw that, if you were expecting him, but Duplessis came in at 4. And I'm sure he's be a nice feeling to have your skipper down the other end.
Got some breaking news at the end of this over. Stand by, both South Africa fans and Somerset fans.
Van Dussen waits. Croucher. This hits him on the pad. There's a big appeal from England, but I think he got outside the line.
He may have gotten inside edge as well, possibly. But don't think that was hitting the stumps.
It was certainly one of his induckers. And Anderson was talking to the umpire about it. I think it might have curved in, but if he got it was an inside edge. Well spotted, Fredders.
The major teams that Rassie van der Dussen has played for, according to Cricket Info, are South Africa, fair enough, Lions, Northwest, Northerns, St Kitts and Nevis Patriots, and a new one on me here, the Vancouver Knights.
That'll be out in the Global T20, it's called, in Canada. As he waits again, no big foot movement from Rassie. Anderson pushing this one up to him, he defends it into out the point area. Yeah, our friend Taz was out there keeping an eye on that Global. Is that coming back? Does anyone know that was where Steve Smith was rehabilitated? And
It's passed me by somewhat,
yeah,
I think.
a lot of the West
It's
Indians
global, but it's in Canada.
Yeah, that's what it was known as.
A few West Indies players
They
have been
did.
discovered in that.
Yeah.
West Indies B team,
Mhm.
Fane Rutherford being one of them. Stand by for that breaking news story, Roger. from
Yep,
Somerset.
we're 2 balls away. I think I might have glimpsed it on the wires as well. So,
Right.
but our listeners will be on the edge of their seats. So Anderson's cantering in again here, defended by Van der Dussen, easily enough. He's quite a dashing figure, going for the long sleeves and buttoned up to the top, shirt buttoned up to the top with the collar up. So I think it's quite a dashing look.
Touch of the Alex Stewarts.
Yeah, Greg Blewett.
Shea Hope.
Great ball.
I guess it, yeah. Although I favour maybe the half-turn sleeves rolled up just halfway up the forearms. I think it always looks nice.
The 3/4 sleeves.
Yeah. Anyway, it's nice and erect at the crease. Sideways on. He'll get into a crouch as Anderson gets past the umpire. And there, sure enough, he's bending forward. Better looking for defence into the offside. David Brooke with some breaking news.
Well, yes, indeed. And Kurt, thank you, Annie, for just passing on this from Anthony Gibson, care of very reliable source. Breaking news: 34-year-old South African opening bowler Vernon Fernanda, who of course we know is on his last Test series, is reported reliably to have signed a 3-year Colpack deal with Somerset. And Annie says Somerset signing looking tasty. Of course, he has had a spell at Sussex in the past. He was quite injury prone then, but that obviously would make a lot of sense. That's a good source. It's coming from Charlie Taylor at BBC Somerset and BBC Bristol, so pretty reliable source there that Vernon Fernanda after this series will be on his way to Somerset. And indeed, it is a tasty looking signing, Annie.
Could he be that missing piece at Somerset? So desperate to get their hands on their first ever pennant. Archer's continuing. Duplessis is defending down the pitch.
Yeah, Fernanda had a little spell at Sussex, and I didn't pull up any trees, to use your phrase, if I may, Roger. But he was slightly injury prone. Made a lot of runs though down the order, and obviously kept it tight. He didn't get the volume of wickets as you might expect.
And Somerset, will they be starting with a points deficit this season?
I believe so.
Archer really straight on off stump, and Duplessis defends and takes the bottom hand off the bat. Maybe it's just bouncing him a touch, spliced him.
That's
from
ridiculous,
a length,
isn't it? The points deduction, and yet Ashley Giles, who's director of cricket, is in print just before Christmas saying that the problem with county cricket is there's not enough spin bowling. Players don't face enough spin bowling. There's Somerset, who provided a spinning wicket.
Archer close to the stumps, and Duplessis just drops the hands as this goes past the off stump, and Duplessis having a good look at the way some of these are reacting off the pitch, and he just
I do remember, Fred, watching England playing in Sri Lanka, and someone from the Barmy Army in the days of Ashley Giles shouted out very loudly in a way that all the players could hear, "For God's sake, spin one, Gilo." And he turned and glared at him. Ashley Giles
Was
turned
the only
and glared.
turn that Ashley Giles managed that day.
It was odd to react in such a way. You didn't just carry on.
He wasn't much of a bowler.
Apart from Ashley's winning
Not much of an
side.
administrator either.
Duplessis waits, standing over stumps, and this one bounces at him again, hits him on the hip, just lobs up.
Yeah,
No
sorry,
run.
Roger. There's not talking of Ashley Giles as an administrator. There's not a lot of logic in some of the things not a lot of strategy in the things he's been saying. He's very much, reactive in the comments he gives to the press. So his last pronouncement was the county championship doesn't produce enough spin bowlers, and there's too much short-term decisions caused by two divisions. What we need is more batsmen playing out time and playing out draws. Well, surely that's not what's required. He's advocating more points for a draw.
Archer, I think he's beginning to slip himself. He beats Duplessis with a good one, played inside the line perhaps, and a genuine.
I tell you, this is only a matter of time before Joffre gets
He's giving
one.
him a good working over, Joffre. I have to say, his last couple of overs have been absolutely bang on. He's hurrying him, he's defeating him with pace and bounce, and it's a very good spell by Archer. He deserves a wicket.
And Duplessis is not someone who gets hurried by many bowlers.
No, he's unfathomable.
He's on 25, and he's got one ball to survive. Can Archer find the key? This one back of length too wide, and he's able to cut and release some of that pressure. Beats the cover fielder, hits the rope.
The number of the day. Who could ask for more? The number of the day is 4.
That's Test cricket, Roger, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
You put a batsman under pressure, but then if you do stray, you get punished, and it takes the pressure off. Yeah.
No, it doesn't really take the pressure off. I mean, I still think he's bowling well, and he's causing him difficulty. The fact that the odd ball is a little bit wider does not necessarily mean it's bad, because often in a good spell you will get your wickets with the ball which isn't absolutely bang on, of people trying to hit balls which aren't there for hitting. But not to say that I thought that Archer did that deliberately, but it's, it could have worked for him. But a good over and a good spell. He's looking very hostile, and there is something in the wicket for the bowlers.
It's a sort of very typical South African pitch by the looks of things. Zip and carry, and England were encouraged enough by the green stuff to put South Africa in. Van der Dussen defends Anderson's next over, coming from the Hennops River end.
What's the other end called?
The pavilion end, not the flyover. Well, the flyover goes on one of the sides of the ground, Hendo's favourite feature of the ground. And we're seeing these grass banks,
quite
well
shallow
populated.
banks, aren't
Yeah, the Mount Maunganui ones were just perfect, just to recline, just to set yourself at an angle, fully stretched out, and dreamy times. Van der Dussen defends very correctly, back down the pitch to a full ball from Anderson.
So was that your first trip to New Zealand?
It was, yeah.
Fair to say you were impressed?
I absolutely loved it. Yeah, it was beyond my expectations. It was, dreamy. Like I said, and it was almost like, I felt like, the fact that it was this beach resort, almost a place where it was almost like if you had Test cricket in Cornwall, in St Ives or something like that, or a nice, with a lovely surf beach nearby, just up the road. It was really idyllic. This one's left alone by Van der Dussen. And lovely people, just a lovely vibe, everyone's pretty chilled, friendly. You could see the players, very often you would see the players before and after the day's play, just no one
wandering around.
Yeah. So Dom Sibley, the day after his first day of Test cricket, all his family, and they all in the bar afterwards, and just what a nice moment for him.
Were they all on the leg side?
So yeah, I certainly hope to return to the land of the long white cloud. Anderson in, and a bit too wide. Van der doesn't have to play at it, but again, good carry. Have you ever been to New Zealand?
I've not. No, it's a long way away.
It is. David?
No, I haven't.
No. I think that's the exciting thing. It's kind of as far away as you can actually fly, and but yet it's the exotic yet familiar. Yeah. So, and I made some nice friends out there.
And you had glorious weather.
Yeah,
that's what it looked
it was
like from the
perfect.
television.
Yeah,
It's,
yeah.
5 days of sunshine.
And a very good Test match. I was so impressed to see, that Watling innings and the Kane Williamson's New Zealand. Such a good unit. Santner, really impressive cricketer. There's a man gone in at an off-Hayden as Anderson curves away, swinger past the edge of Van der Dussen's bat. Feeling for that one was very wide, but maybe that man that had gone in had just put some doubts in his head. Why would that man have gone in there, Fred, do you think?
Well, you're right. He may be getting his eye line. He's pushed at that with his bat, and then he's sort of followed it further, even though he can see the ball curling away from him, and it's just he's not really moving his feet in a strong way towards the ball.
Yeah, it's Sibley there that's in his eye line. No, it's someone else. Anyway, it's defended by Van der Dussen. Back to Anderson. End of the over, 97 for 3.
Yes, Martin Collinson has been in touch about that Philander deal, and says that the 3-year deal might be optimistic, with Brexit putting an end to the Kolpak loophole. Assume they would just convert him to the overseas player. Well, what I've heard is that if you've got your Kolpak signing, then it won't be affected, i.e. that he would have moved. It won't affect the players who are already signed. So the loophole there's a loophole there. If you sign them up now on a contract, they'll remain okay. Enfo, your friendly sports guy, says a back punch from Faf there was glorious. It's short and wide at 140 plus. Why not? A few people watching the Big Bash. By the minute cricket says good over from Archer, has Faf hopping around.
He's got another goal. He's a wide one which he's nicked. Has he? No. Yes, the finger goes up. Well taken by Butler. A wide. Faf threw his hands at it. He's lingering, and he doesn't think he's out. I think he's reviewed it already. He's staying there, and the timer's ticking down. But the way he's reacting, he must have already called it. Yeah, I think they've taken the time off.
I was definitely in. Were you definitely in? I don't know.
They all went up.
Surely
the
you
cordon,
know if you've touched that. wouldn't
Maybe
you?
his bat-
Would he waste a review if he didn't think he touched it? But
bat on ground, maybe. It was very full.
super ball from Joffre, who was saying was threatening to take the wicket of Duplessis. He'd been all over him. This one bat long way
Oh,
from
it
the body,
looked
so
like
it's either an
there was
edge or it's
gap.
nothing.
But we've seen some bizarre things with hotspot, not hotspot. What's it called? The one with the
Ultra
waves.
edge.
Ultra edge, where it looked like you could see gap between the ball and bat, and there's still been a spike on it. So let's see what ultra.
Oh, the tiniest one, but
there's space between.
but yet England all went up, suggesting a noise.
So
Well,
the
there is a-
decision was out, of course,
you
by
can-
the umpire.
And yes, of course, Gaffney's finger went up.
It looks like there's air between the ball and the bat at this point, where there is a compression mark.
It's a big call,
On
this,
the
isn't
graph.
it? This is a huge decision for
Yes.
I don't
for
think you
this
can
match.
give that out.
The tiniest little ripples. I've never seen such a
Such a
bit like-
small indentation on the ultra edge.
Yeah, it's like your heartbeat, Fred. It's,
It's just barely above.
yeah.
I think he's going to overturn it.
He has done.
Ah, he's overturned it.
That's a bit of a contentious one. England might be a bit grumpy about that.
Well, I think we saw it in New Zealand where people were giving out where it looked like where there was a mark on the graph wasn't when the ball was going past the bat, and people were still giving out. So I think that's the correct decision, but we've got there in the end. Let's see, where's the not out jingle? Can't find it. Anyway, he's not out.
Not out.
Thank you, Marvin.
Well, curious one. There is no hotspot. Is that only in certain territories?
Quite expensive. I don't know.
Well, that's a tough one for Joffre Archer. He thought he was celebrating his first wicket of the series, and he's got to continue and make another opportunity. But he's been all over Duplessis here.
He's ready to go again. Renewed vigour, and this one's fast but too wide. A studied leave from the reprieved South African skipper. 29. He is on 97 for 3.
I should have finished that tweet before, Roger, because what By the Minute Cricket said was good over from Archer, has Faf hopping around, but the last ball is wide and short and thrashed to the fence. Does Archer have a game plan? Well, did he demonstrate back then? And he does have one, because he came back with that couple of really good deliveries.
It's in again now. This short approach, it's very straight. Duplessis defends into the onside. Bairstow is very eager to pick that one up and threaten to shy. And they want to keep Faf on strike and Archer to get to work on him.
Thanks to Ravi Neo's keeping an ear on the Guerrilla Cricket South Africa coverage, and says that Simon 15 minutes ago said, well, Simon Gear I think he's talking about, said we all knew it wasn't going to be a high scoring match, and then 15 seconds ago says there are proper runs in this pitch. 350, 400 is below par.
Archer too wide, left alone by Faf.
You were saying earlier, David, that Philander can provide some runs down the order for Somerset. They didn't have much trouble getting runs down the order. It was at the top of the order that they were.
Good point.
They were really struggling. Maybe they bat him at number 3.
Put him up the order.
Yeah.
You wonder what it means for the Overton twins. Can they both be incorporated into the attack with Philander? Two
I
guys
don't know if
that.
they're going to play 4 spinners.
No, precisely. Craig, of course,
Surely-
is with the.
Surely they
England team.
have to make room for the England squad member Dom Bess.
Archer in again. Faf's just poking at it with no footwork, but he's survived. Oh no, sorry, there's a ball left that was fielded by cover. Of course, you've got Lewis Gregory, who also been in England squads, was close to getting an England Test cap, who does a lot of good work for some similar, maybe a more similar bowler to Philander rather than the Overton twins, who are two big tall quicks. But a very interesting signing, certainly. As Duplessis waits, Archer, short one, which he can easily duck under, goes over his back. And we're going to have a change. Andy Ward and the bearer here. Shall I stick around, bearer? Can I?
Yeah, do you want to switch over there?
Okay.
Andy can come in there. all good. Oh, look, you got a warmer for that. Yeah, I won't play a jingle because I'm talking. That was an interesting one. The reason that they don't have hotspot in some places really annoys me. There should be a centralised fund. I've mentioned this many a time before. I think there should be a centralised fund funded by the ICC. How many test sides are there? 14, and he probably max 4 sets of it ever playing at once.
Well, I think the first thing is it's not that they don't have hotspot here, it's that they don't have Ultra Edge in New Zealand. Ultra Edge is considered the more reliable.
Yes.
And
They
hotspot.
they had something there, didn't they?
They had hotspot in New Zealand, but not Ultra Edge, didn't they?
I thought they had both in New Zealand.
Or did they have some inferior version of Ultra Edge?
They might
cheaper
have
version
done.
of Ultra Edge. Anyway, South Africa are 97 for 3. Roger's trying to step down a rather large puddle on the floor.
Who spilt something? Was that
That was David, just as he exited the little splash.
of water?
We hope so.
That's why I've never changed the carpet in this flat.
Not much point, is there? Anyway, limbering up, we've got another new bowler. We're still rotating the 4 bowlers, despite going in with 5.
Yeah, it's interesting. I imagine Stokes.
A new bowler bustles up to the wicket and it's full. It's played back down towards the umpire. I'm sure that's a run in a one-day game, but this is a test match, so for some reason they don't.
That's this man.
Is he a batter or bowler?
Sam Curran.
What's his distinguishing feature?
Sam Curran.
His dad's from Zimbabwe.
Sam Curran.
And he's beloved by Liz Yates.
Sam Curran.
Still looks like a 12-year-old running up to try and do his best after he'd been called up in the under-15s. He may always look like that. 2 slips and a gully. That's the one that's gone slip, and he's out. And he's out. The 12-year-old strikes. He wiggles his finger, caught by Root. Van der Dussen is gone. Straight forward edge. Curran's ball that didn't swing back straight on. Van der Dussen played inside it, and he is out.
Now you're gone.
That was a poor shot, really.
Well, again, he's playing away from his body in a very similar way, although it's more understandable with Curran because you're expecting that in-swinger. But yeah, it was a big gap between bat and pad, and even so, it's found the outside edge as he's reaching for it. He's gone for 6, his first innings in Test cricket. Well, people have had worse starts to their Test careers.
Well, they have, indeed. But now it brings these are the 2 big guns, aren't they, really, in the side, apart from Elgar, who was out first ball of the match. Get through these 2,
yes,
and England will feel everyone a chance. And I imagine Simon Gears changed his mind again from 350 back down to about 170. We will chat to them in a lunchtime later on in the Test series, but I think the Boxing Day Test it's quite hard to man anyway, so having lunchtime chats is probably not the wisest thing. We all do need a little break. Next man in will be this man.
Quinton de Kock has a name you can mock, but he's really quite useful at cricket. I have heard that he can open the bat, even if he's not keeping wickets.
Yes, is indeed going to come in at 6, which I think is his usual position for South Africa. He's gone out to join Du Plessis, who, if he hadn't been reprieved by the DRS system, South Africa would have been in even more trouble, but that's how that works.
A few tweets here. Andries Löw, I hope I pronounced that okay, said SA will need to bat very well from here to get 350 plus, and that was before the wicket. UD at Utkarsh is listening from Ranchi, India, where South Africa last played a Test match. Saw them get out twice in a day, mostly the fast bowlers, so I don't expect much from them.
This is a bit unusual. Didn't Shami take a bunch of wickets?
Yeah, he bowled very well. Jim George is listening from Chile Matsumoto in Japan, with Cab Merlot, antifreeze, and non-cricketing Mrs. G. Hello to you both.
Hello indeed. All around the world, guerrilla cricket. Curran, 2 for 8. His honeymoon in Test cricket, his long honeymoon keeps going. He's now bowling to the left-handed de Kock, who pokes it into the offside, out to point. I think Sibley comes across in front of point to pick it up, and there's no run.
I think that's Zach Crawley. I think it was,
really?
yeah,
Is
there's
someone
Sibley at third slip.
Someone off the field.
Or second slip, yeah.
It's certainly one of the bigger units in
yeah,
the England team.
Well, so many of them are either ill, aren't they? We've got a 19-man squad out there, which I
Really?
don't think is a bad thing. I suppose we've got to pay everyone to be out there. With modern flights, you can always fly someone out, but I think people need to be in the sort of environment.
Curran again, and it's only half a bat from de Kock as it just moves away from him a little bit. It hits down onto his foot, not the most convincing. But yes, I mean, even England somehow in New Zealand went from a situation of having 4 wicket keepers to suddenly having to throw the gloves to Pope because a whole bunch of bizarre things happened in New Zealand. And this can happen when you're halfway around the world. And it's a balance question whether you, as you say, take the squad of 19 or be ready to fly people out.
Well, in the modern world, you can fly people out. But, I mean, we all mocked the fact that they did Pope, but apparently Pope was a keeper, wasn't he?
Well, he'd never taken a stumping in first-class cricket.
Ah.
Curran bowls that one to de Kock, who's much more solid in defence that time.
But he had been a keeper all the way up through the age groups and on a Lions tour.
Oh, okay.
Which we all found out
for sorry.
Yeah.
Chris the Choir said, unless my ears deceive me, the band at the ground have just played Jesus Christ is Risen Today. Hallelujah. Which is not what you expected after Christmas.
It's more of an Easter song, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, Chris the Choir wishes us a happy Easter as a result.
Here comes Sam Curran, and de Kock chops that one down. It goes to backward point. I think they thought better of a run and scampered back. The throw was wild. Anyway, that's the end of the over. Successful one for Sam Curran. South Africa on 97 for 4.
England right back in it, I reckon.
On top, I should think.
I think on top, yeah.
With Pretorius in next. He's on his debut and not really any form as an all-rounder that I'm aware of.
No, well, I shall look up his stats for you, shall I?
Arthur Patricia is back from the tractor run and ready to test.
How was it?
Well, yes, to tell us. Ready to test my hypothesis that England won't take another wicket with this ball. I think, again, that was before the previous wicket. He says, unless Joe Denley suddenly morphs into Doug Wright.
Who's Doug Wright?
Doug Wright was a leg spinner, played in the 50s, and I think it was Kent. He was sort of mostly known as England's best ever leg spinner.
I've never heard of him, showing my cricket knowledge.
Well, it just shows that England have never really produced any leg spinners.
Very generous of you.
Adil Rashid.
Well, Dwayne Pretorius, he's played a few ODIs. High score 50, an average of 15. First class career, only 55 matches over how many years he's been playing. An average of 39.
More of a white ball player. But, Doug Smith's never won a World Cup, so Adil Rashid's got that over him. Yeah. 2 slips in a gully for the new bowler, which is another change. And that one's left alone by Duplessis.
Got a first class bowling average of 23.87 though. There's Dwayne Pretorius. He's obviously in there more for his bowling then. Let's give our new man a jingle. It is...
What would make Broad walk? If it stops with us down. What would make Broad walk? Caught 5 feet off the ground. What would make Broad walk? If he trod on his stars. What would make Broad walk? If God was one of the arms. What would make Broad walk? Broad walk.
What Broad?
Full ball just tails away from Duplessis, and there's no run. It's funny how a lot of the jingles in general bant about Stuart Broad is about his batting, when he has become a genuine number 11. He's scored something like 2 runs in his last 9 Test innings or something.
Yeah,
he used to be a decent bat. I know everyone says till he got clonked on the head. I'm not sure about that.
Well, he started to, I think the further down the order he got, the less of a batsman he became. But I definitely, after he got clonked on the head, he was pretty poor for the year and a half after that.
Anyways, in the team for his bowling, and here he comes. That's a full ball, and it's a nice full bat from de Kock up to mid-on. Joffrey Archer picks it up, and there's no run, and drops the ball.
I still maintain with his batting that it takes him a long time to get in, but if he does actually survive 20 balls, I've seen him get the odd 30. And
well, he's not the batsman who scored 160 against Pakistan,
no,
that's for sure.
Isn't.
Some indication here that he might be running on the wicket. The dreaded red rectangle is there. Is he on the wicket?
Ooh.
Only a tiny bit. It would be
Back
harsh to call him for that. Here he comes again, and that one's also left alone by Duplessis, still being very watchful. He's had that swish and was given out, but reprieved, so he's being watchful again now.
Good carry on his pitch, isn't there?
Decent, yeah. And as I say, if you sat through all the New Zealand tests, it's probably
which I did.
Quite welcome.
It is very welcome.
Plenty to play for here. 4-match series. The draw not favoured. at the moment. Interestingly, South Africa were slight favourites for this test, while England was slight favourites for the series, because Centurion is such a fortress for South Africa, I should imagine. That was left alone again by du Plessis, kind of holds its line outside off stump.
And England have a tendency to start series slowly, don't they? Especially away from home. They lost the first one in New Zealand a couple of months ago.
Well, like many test sides, they have quite a poor record away from home over the last, going on for quite a few years now.
I'm not sure. Yeah, well, I'm not sure the warm-up games would have done them any good either, would they? I mean, apart
It
from
seemed a bit pointless. Yeah.
getting used to the heat and maybe looking at how the wickets play, which is half the game, I suppose. But
I suppose you've got to do something, but I think people accept now that warm-up games are really played in second gear. Broad's in again, and du Plessis does have to play that one into the covers for no run. The players start jogging back. It must be the end of the over.
Linux Leah says, "Not Fred doesn't understand how shutters work. I'm not surprised."
shutters on? Cameras? What sort of
Windows?
shutters were you talking about?
I don't remember. Dave Wood says there isn't a pitch in the world that England can't be 87 all out on. I think
That's probably true, yeah.
Yep.
And that's us up to speed. Oh no, there's a bit of chat with Matt about this Philander signing. Sort of chat among Martin Collinson and Annie Chave and the legalities of that, but they're chatting away. Here's James Homerson. Why the fuck doesn't Root just bowl Sam Curran in 1 over spells? Opposition would always be bowled out in 40 overs.
Well, here comes Curran for that second over, and to prove the point, de Kock has smashed it through the offside for 4.
It's me, says she. It's me, says she.
To be fair, that is the first time Curran's dropped short, but it was a bit of a Hitler ball, and de Kock appreciated that to get off the mark.
Or the Hitler Junge, as Linux Leah has called him, so he strikes again. Major Percy Fladge says, got him! This is all back at that wicket, and Mutley says, woof. Tuned in just in time to hear that 4th wicket. Bacon sarnies are the order of the day.
Ooh, yeah, it's only 11:25.
Turkey sandwiches.
Later in the day, mate.
Is that the thing? Onto the legs from Curran, and that's been clipped away, and that's going to be 4 more. So de Kock getting his eye in pretty quickly.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Curran's doubled his runs conceded in 2 balls after 6 overs. That one tailed into the legs, and again de Kock clipped it away very comfortably.
Yeah, it was ill-directed, wasn't it?
There's a bit of an overreaction to the previous ball, which often happens. It was short and wide of off stump the previous one. He went too far down leg that time.
Outfield is pretty quick.
Yep, but still South Africa only just got back to 3 and over with those 2 boundaries. It's 105 for 4 of 35. That's a better ball, and a thickish outside edge from de Kock goes down to gully, but it's no run.
Morg tells us the last jingle he did about Broad very clearly criticised his bowling. Why would you criticise his bowling? Isn't he quite good at bowling?
That seems to be the general consensus.
Yeah.
Although everybody has their anti-favourites.
Of course. Yeah. I'm not his biggest fan either, but I've got to doff my hat to his
by now, yes.
credentials.
As Curran comes in again, and that one's another good ball onto middle and off. Inside half of the bat from de Kock up to Anderson at mid-on. And applause from Butler behind the stumps.
Would you like to hear a list of things from Merry Messi Jasmus, things that didn't exist 20 years ago?
Why not?
T20, Hawkeye, IPL, Nasim Shah.
Well, a lot of players didn't exist as players 20 years ago.
But these are the specific ones that Messi Jasmus wants us to recognise.
Okay, Curran comes in. Did he exist 20 years ago? Only barely. Flashed away by de Kock in front of Gully, and it's another 4. And perhaps Joe Root should have heeded the tweeter's advice and just taken Sam Curran off after 1 over. Bit of a one-day shot that from de Kock. It's actually a decent length, but just a little bit of width, and he threw the bat through the line.
Well, he does like to score quickly, de Kock, doesn't he? He
That's
always
what he's
has
there
done
for,
at test level.
And there's always room for someone to come and do that. And England have got, some would say, too many players who want to do that in the middle order.
Yeah, he's the only real stylist that the South Africans have to show for us, so it's always good to see him
Curran again, and that one's pushed into the gap, and it's probably going to get 2 here as Broad lumbers after it. Can you get 2? Yes, I think they did. Curran not even back at the stumps when it's completed the 2. A little bit discouraged after that over. He's got 2 for 22 though, and that's a good start to the match for him, despite those 10 runs off that over.
10, 11, yeah, 10.
No, it might have been 14.
14, yeah,
14.
Yeah.
Well, exactly. So before that, he'd only gone for 8 runs. Which is previous 6 overs.
More things that didn't exist 20 years ago. Hashtag gorilla quotes.
Hashtag anything.
Yeah. Spider cam. Hashtag 100 ball bullshit. DRS. Switch hit. Probably not.
It was 20 years
20
ago,
years.
1999.
Switch hit.
I think people might have started switch hitting a little bit.
Day-night tests.
Reverse sweeping, if you count that.
DLS. Death bowling. I have to take...
No, death
take up
bowling
on that.
was
It's
a thing.
definitely been death bowling.
Yeah.
Knuckle Pandy's beard. The Hoff Bears Cubs. Cat sitting headers
Definitely the
books. Norcross on TMS. And just simply at Gorilla Cricket.
Well, yeah.
A lot of
Good
things.
Christmas list.
Duplessis is going to face up to Broad this time. Lets it go through to Butler for no run.
Well, 30 years ago, there was no fucking internet, was there? Well, there probably was in military circles, but not a...
Yeah, not a great deal. It wasn't that much. In 1999, you could get your 100 hours of AOL, but maybe not much more than that.
You had ADSL by then, didn't you?
Squeaky noises down the telephone, yeah.
Yeah, about 40, I don't know. Yeah, ADSL had just about come in by 99. Maybe not, actually.
111 for 4, South Africa, if you are... Oh, and that's a good ball from Broad. That is a good ball. It tailed in towards Duplessis, then shot up and away off the pitch, and you'd need to be a good batsman to get an edge on that one.
Is that Ngidi?
Yeah, just hit the seam there from Broad and
that's a decent,
whizzes past the outside edge.
Very strange way he holds the bat, hasn't he, Duplessis? I mean, he really does hold it like a baseball bat or something. Very strong bottom hand.
Yep, like the
Like
South
an
African
axe.
cricket supremo Graham Smith. He's still playing the holding. A bit of a greying beard, salt and pepper beard.
Oh, yes!
He's out that time. Root grabs another one. Broad found the outside edge. South Africa in trouble now. 111 for 5.
Nelson.
Can't complain about that one. Review that, cock.
Well, he correctly reviewed the previous one, so that actually seemed to be just a bit of a straight ball that he played inside. To me, may have held its line a little bit. Let's have a look. Yeah, actually no, yeah, a little bit more than I thought. Yeah, and a very comfortable catch for Joe Root, as the previous one was. And
England
now,
right on top now.
right on top, and with a door open to get it. An inexperienced, well, I don't know, Philander and Maharaj are experienced enough, but not really noted as batsman 8 or 9, and Pretorius is down to come in at 7, but it's always possible Philander will come in first.
Oh yeah, it is possible, but we'll give the new man his jingle because we think he should be coming out. It's this man.
Pretorius.
A bit of coke-fueled Duran Duran.
Did you say coke fuel?
Coke-fueled, yes.
Yeah, it's more than likely.
The tweets are coming in. Linux Leah credits Varun Aaron with Broady's decline as a batsman. That was that bumper that hit him.
Yep.
Knuckle Pan, this was just after the current wicket. Knuckle tells us England bowlers working in whatever the 3-man version of a tandem is. Anderson
That's
had
a goodies try-bike.
well, funny enough, the Trandem says Crocked Yates comes back and teaches us that one. He said we can expect Broad to go round the wicket to the lefty, but it was Broad getting the righty skipper out.
And it is Pretorius.
Yeah. Oh, I might have to go under for the next wicket to see if we can get a collapse.
Yeah, you might
going.
not get much of a line here, I think.
No, I don't think so. I've lost 2 already by about 7 runs on both occasions. Really fucking annoying.
Sky giving us the stats that you found for us earlier. Pretorius with a first-class batting average of 39, 500s. So no mug with the bat. But he's got a fired-up Stuart Broad. And who knows at the other end? Maybe they'll stick with Curran now they've got a wicket. Maybe they'll throw the ball to Ben Stokes. No spinner, of course, today, but the all-seam attack is working well so far. 3 slips and a gully for the new batsman. Clips that into the leg side. There's no short leg, so he's going to pick up a single to get away.
What are you on about? We've got Rusi and we've got Denley.
Yeah, that's about 0.4 spinners between them.
Root does have a knack of picking up wickets.
Right, but he's really just rolling his arm over.
Yeah, totally. But he's learned to do the Kedar Jadhav flat arm as well. I think he must have been working on it. The line's actually 141, which isn't bad considering he's...
Oh, yeah, you might go under that. Yeah, De Kock's playing his shots. The ball's moving around. Got a bowling all-rounder on debut.
I'll give it a go.
I think I would, yeah.
It's failed the previous 2 times. I've
The
had a bad run recently.
The one you bet's bound to not come in. Yeah, we all know how that works.
I had a big run on that game when...
Is that Craig
Overton
Overton
is
as
on the
well?
field,
Yeah, how
no, I
about
think Crawley. That's who I thought.
that's who it was.
Crawley,
It's Craig Overton. Yeah.
It's probably to do with the amount of illness that they've had and people just going off and getting rehydrated. and
Maybe
shit, isn't it?
Archer's gone off. I'm not sure. Broadso is around the wicket to De Kock, who cloths that into the offside, and Bairstow dives to field.
Actually, is Crawley? In fact, is one man who isn't even in the squad.
Is he on this tour?
I don't think.
I think he is.
Oh, is he?
yeah,
Is he still hanging around? Right.
Patiently waiting for his chance.
I'll go back to...
As you say, it is a 19-man squad, so
Right.
quite a few people must have got a late call.
Creepy 2.0.
Because I think
Yep.
we mentioned him in the England Test squad.
Arthur Patricius is switching his position on. Shouldn't have picked Sam Curran to also pick Tom Curran, Benny Curran, and any other Currans England can find.
Broad is in. It's well driven by De Kock, and he's still going for his shots, and that's a nice 4 through extra cover.
The number of the day. Who could ask for more? The number of the day is 4.
Yeah, Zach Crawley is in the squad.
He is, okay.
Yeah. And of course, I thought he was John Crawley's son, but he's not, is he?
No,
He looks a bit vacant, actually. And he looks a bit ginger, but you know.
well, he wouldn't be alone in this England team at either, or both.
Switch hitting news. Chris the Choir's nitpicking, saying it's as old as the game in baseball. And then Mog says, I'm sure I can remember Kaluwitarana switch hitting more than 20 years ago.
In '96, perhaps.
Yeah, that
He certainly gave it a biff.
But that was the birth of
top
pinch.
of the
That
old
was
pin-
that was the birth of pinch hitting.
Pinch.
In the
Well,
ODIs,
was
wasn't
it though? Because Greg Batch was doing it in '92.
Yeah, maybe we just credit
Craig
Sean for
McDermott was doing it in the '87 World Cup final. Went to
Exactly.
number
If
4.
you can, nothing new under the sun. That one nips in a bit from Curran. It's hit De Kock, Pretorius. Sorry, 2 left-handers now.
No, he's a right-hander.
Sorry, he's right-hander.
He looked bloody late on that shot.
He was, and if you're late on Sam Curran, then I don't know
You're
what
in
you're going to do
trouble.
to Jofra Archer.
Exactly. He's probably very nervous, isn't he?
You would think so. I mean, why wouldn't you be on your Test debut? That one's hit him on the back thigh pad.
Maybe where there's no pad at all. Could be a painful little blue mark. Purple.
Curran's in again, and that one's the one that didn't really swing, and it is a 1 bounce to backward point.
Miles away. His feet didn't move there, and his bat was chasing the ball.
And Curran, well, I'm not sure of him some of the time. He certainly looks useful in these conditions. Although De Kock's got after. De Kock obviously feeling that a counter-attack is called for here, and why not?
When did the Currans move to England? Because they're obviously Safa natives. 13?
Well,
was
I
he?
don't know.
No, when they were very young.
I would think so, because the dad was playing English county cricket, wasn't he? Basically his whole career. Curran comes in again, and again it's the outside half of the bat, and again it goes down to backward point, although a little bit more safely this time.
Yeah, wasn't Sam Curran even born? I know Tom Curran was born in South Africa, but I thought Sam was born in England.
Yeah, well, Sam, they've all got... he's got South African accents.
He was born in Northampton.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah,
That's right, because Kevin Curran played for Northants, didn't he?
yeah.
Oh, good county knowledge from me there.
Well
That's
done.
me done today. Curran's in again. Full ball onto middle leg, a big inside edge on that, whatever the slips think. There was only half an appeal for them.
Misses that though, and he's plumb.
That's how straight balls work.
Yep. That came in a bit though.
It did, yeah. It's falling straight.
Still
Swinging
getting a bit
in.
of a swing, and the 40th over. That's not bad with a kookaburra.
Yeah.
I think this lovely outfield is able to keep the ball in a nice shape.
Well, I was just
If
about
you
to argue.
work on one
I was just
side
about
of
to argue the opposite. Is it going to get rough, and they're going to get a reverse swing? I mean, it does look quite
I
lush,
think it's all
but,
conventional, yeah.
it's a different type of grass out in Africa.
Curran eyeing up that third wicket, and it's a Yorker swinging back in towards off stump, but Pretorius hits it onto his foot and up to mid-on.
It's a very rough grass, very hard. So it might look lush, but I think it'll probably scrape the ball up.
It's abrasive.
I mean, certainly last time we were out there, reverse swing was a big thing, and two of the games I seem to remember.
Well, that might be what they're saving Ben Stokes for when they think the ball might reverse a little bit. Curran again, onto middle. That's a straight ball, and it's played up to mid-on for no run, but a good over from Curran. Good comeback. Oh, it helped him that he wasn't bowling much at de Kock that time.
Oh, I mean, you've got to think as well. I mean, if each session, I mean, especially the session before lunch and the session after lunch, you've got a 40-minute break for lunch. And if you're getting 30 overs, which they rarely do in a session, you've got 4 bowlers. They've only got to bowl 9.5 overs each, essentially. No, not even that. What am I on about? It's less than seven and a half overs. You know, you'd think that you can get that out of 4 bowlers.
Well, you would
with
think
an hour
so.
break. Maybe the last session of the day you give Stokes a little go.
Especially if it's one of those, then because they've missed overs in the first 2 sessions, you have to bowl more in the last one.
Yeah, I also seem to remember last time we were in South Africa, the sun goes down, even though it goes down quite quickly. And often they can't get the last half hour in of the day, especially if it's cloudy. But it's not cloudy today. But even then, the light goes pretty quickly, and you often find that they can't even get the full extra half hour in. I seem to remember. Maybe I'm getting that wrong, someone can remind me, but I seem to remember that being the case a lot of the time in South Africa.
De Kock. Now is he going to continue his counter-attack against Broad, who's round the wicket to him? It's a very full ball and a bit loopy and slow. De Kock lets it go.
Motley says, I was reading this morning on Cricket Tracker that Vaughan thinks England are not good enough to be ranked where they are. Where are they ranked?
Fifth.
Well, and then he says, eat that, Vaughanie. 111 for 5.
I'd be. I'm going to have a look at the Test World rankings.
I think they usually are quite clumped together in the middle.
Yeah, exactly. I think India are way out in front, aren't they?
Considering they play 1 million home tests against teams who are shit, that's not really surprising.
Exactly. I mean, they're pretty much.
Last one goes through to Butler for no run. It's India, then Australia, and then the rest clumped together.
New Zealand,
isn't
I
it?
think, should be
probably ahead of England. Yeah.
Yeah, they should be.
All right, here we go. ICC Test match team rankings. Come on, computer.
But it's the World Test Championship we should really be looking at.
That's got
what
India
it's
way
designed
ahead.
for, yeah.
Yeah, India weighted
okay.
matches. 42 matches they've played though. They've got 5,000 odd points and a rating of 120. I don't know what any of this shit means.
That one's covered up by de Kock. It goes up to Anderson at mid-off, and there's no run. But yeah, it's India, New Zealand, South Africa, England, Australia, isn't it?
So South Africa, England and Australia are all on 102.
All on equal points,
Yeah,
okay.
exactly.
That's what tends to happen. There might be 1 or 2 clear, and then everyone else is clumped up.
New Zealand is second on 112, and imagine that will go down when they get thumped once again by Australia. And then Sri Lanka are next after England, considering the poor form they've had. They're on 92.
Well, everyone below that is really not much cop. That one swings in after it goes past the batsman down to Butler's right-hand side. There's no run.
Pakistan are 7th on 85, West Indies 8th on 81, Bangladesh on 60, Afghanistan on 49, Zimbabwe on 16, and Ireland leading up the
Nil
rear
point.
Nil point. But they've only had 3 weighted matches.
It's not going to change soon, and there's no more. They've taken 2 away from us this year.
Yeah.
Well, the Fred
Next
said
year.
they turned the match down though, so
Well, he turned the match down because I thought Sri Lanka had cancelled one.
Broad's in round the wicket and driven by de Kock. They've got
They've got to
a
have someone
sweeper
out there now.
I saw the hand went out. He makes a dive. He stops it. The ball runs away.
Denley,
That is Denley been banished into the outfield, and they should have picked up 2.
He always gets sent out to the outfield. Sri Lanka cancelled because they couldn't get a broadcast partner, didn't they?
Yeah.
And why was the one cancelled? Because they've changed the one at home was against
Bangladesh.
and they've changed that to an ODI or something. haven't they?
Yeah, too expensive to put on. And then they're meant to be Afghanistan in March, but I believe that's going to get cancelled as well. And hopefully Zimbabwe in April is on as things stand, but
Is that, that I presume that's away? Isn't it?
yeah. I mean,
Can't play them all at home.
Zimbabwe's have hosted how many in home in recent years?
Not too many.
Not too many.
Well, they've only played 9 matches, weighted matches, in this whatever this period of thing is.
Well, it's a long discussion about the broader issues.
Yeah.
Well, it comes down to the ICC. The ICC have got to stop being a public body. Got to rule for the good of the sport, not for the bloody good of themselves.
Well,
really.
they're not really ruling at all at the moment.
No, well.
Broad is in another. He seems to be bowling very wide to De Kock, trying to tempt him into a drive. De Kock not tempted that time.
One more over, we should have a change, I think.
Going to have some drinks for now.
Right, so I'm going to do the ball by ball. Dave's going to do the next ball by ball. So if I nip out and Roger nips out, and you can nip onto either this or that, Dave and Fred come back in. Dave can do his...
I thought you were going to do the next ball by ball.
I was, but Dave's going to nip off at midday, I think.
So he's going to do the next one. Okay.
Yeah, and then I'll take over from him and take it through to tea, and then we're done until tea, and then we can just have the last session, and that'll be the Boxing Day test done.
Linux Leah, same old BS about Ultra Edge Spike being out of sync with the picture. It's because of the fact that cameras take 24 discrete pics a second, whereas Snicko is continuous.
Yep, this is very true.
That's
But they should be linked up with time code.
Well, that's the whole idea, I think. It's quite a complicated system.
Yep.
And then Arthur Patricia tells us the great George Gunn was switch hitting in the 1920s.
I've little doubt that he was.
I didn't know that. He was of the Knotts Gunn and Moore family. But thanks for that, Arthur. Interesting, very interesting. And we're up to date with the tweets. No, there's a couple more. Armchair, they're having drinks out there, aren't they? So I can get through all of these.
Yep.
Armchair Cricket Podcast. Boy, do SA middle order have a fight on their hands here. If they aren't able to play out the rest of the day, England will feel they're in control of this first test.
Indeed. Until they bat, of course.
Until they bat, yes.
Scurran keeps delivering with his can-do attitude. One of Morg's back, but one of the thrust of Vaughan's dickhead article was that NZ was ranked second, and that's a shitholeness.
Well, New Zealand have been very, very, very good at home. They haven't lost a test at home, or they've lost one test at home in about 4.5 years.
The whole point of rankings, whatever you think about them, is that they're objective and not subject to your own bias, because we can't even those of us who want to can't watch every minute of every test match.
Yeah, indeed.
Still on switch hits, Messi Jesmus Wikipedia credits Jaunty Rhodes with the first switch hit on 27th of March 2002. Well, not if you were watching Knots in the 20s.
What, the 1920s?
Yeah, George Gunn.
No, okay.
Knuckle Panda gives us a comprehensive answer on the Curran's childhoods.
Oh, okay.
Tom, eldest, was born in Cape Town, but Ben, middle, and Tom, no, he means Sam, youngest, were born in Northampton when Dad, Kevin, was playing for Northants.
Okay.
But they moved back to Zimbabwe after the Northants stint, and then the brothers moved to the UK as teenagers.
Aha, that's what I
So
saw.
we were all right.
Good.
Marvellous.
Still looking at some highlights of Sam Curran, whence ever he came, taking 2 wickets.
Muttley says, I don't like the inconsistent touring formats, as in we played 5 T20s and 2 tests in New Zealand and no ODIs.
Well, the reason for that is obviously because there's a T20 World Cup coming up and there's not an ODI World Cup for 4 years, so teams are shifting their white ball priorities. But it all comes down to whether you want fixtures to be centrally coordinated or but teams for good reason and mostly for financial reason obviously want to organise the fixtures themselves.
Yeah,
hence
well,
we've got this super series coming up between India, Australia, England, and someone else will get to join the party.
Yeah, well, I was, the way New Zealand cricket do it as well, they don't make any money out of tests, so they've got a formula. No, Dave's going to do that. I'm going to nip out and I'm going to do the one after because Dave's going to head off soon, aren't you, Dave? So you come in and do ball by ball. Andy, you want to nip over here?
Yeah, okay.
I'll play a jingle after you move, or do you want to carry on talking?
No, I'll just give you a little appeal. No, play a jingle. I've been discombobulated. Having quite an extensive drinks break here, so you're not missing anything. South Africa, 118 for 5. Although here does come Sam Curran. It wasn't that
was
long.
all right. You think this?
And that's another thickish outside edge down towards Gully, and there's no run.
Stuff happening. People are nipping all over the place. And former Channel 4 head of sport, David Brooke, has come into the central missionary position.
Thanks very much, Fred.
As would often happen on Channel 4 late at night. With the red triangle.
Yes. And we're doing a little festive change between overs. During the over, I should say, as Sam Curran bowls. He angles that one across the debutant Pretorius. And he's lucky not to get a nick on that. He had no reason to be playing that at all, but drawn into the shot.
I think
Curran left arm over.
Give the bowler a bit more credit there. I think he did have to play at that one. It's pitching close enough to him. Let's have another look. Oh yeah, I think he's got to play that. Yeah.
Well, I'd left that one alone.
Well, it'd been a brave leave if it swung back into you.
Well,
I tried to leave everything alone on the basis that only about an eighth of balls in Test cricket hit the stumps, and so that's my best chance until they realise what I'm doing.
How do you score runs though?
Well, you don't.
Here's Curran again, and Pretorius definitely has to play at that one. We both agree on that. That's forward defensive. That was bang on middle stump. So yeah, no, Curran has got the one that swings back in, but I wonder whether you can slightly read it out the hand, but we'll see. 118 for 5, South Africa, and having been put in. So that turns out to be the right decision from Joe Root with his 5-man seam attack.
Thus far.
Curran. And it's an appeal for OBW there, but must be swinging down the leg side. Surely it wraps Pretorius on the pad. But all keeps the pressure on the debutant. It's just on one. It's 11 ball.
He's not getting the middle of the bat on many of these.
He's not. He's down in the book as an all-rounder. We'll have a look at his first-class record, Andy. Would you be able to check that out?
We did see that.
He
had a batting average of 39 and I think 500s.
Right, okay.
So no mug. But
no mug.
Testing time.
Yeah, it's testing time. He's looking a little, not made an easy transition for him so far. The England bowlers rightly keeping the pressure on. This is where you really have to turn the screw on the rookie. Here's Curran. Shorter, and that's one's played still off the front foot, but played more comfortably by Pretorius. He remains on 1. De Kock has raced to 20, and South Africa are 118 for 5. Fred has moved into the tweets.
Not sure where you were up to on the tweet front, so I'll just read the most recent from Andres Louvre, who says De Kock needs to hit a quick fire 150 runs. Yes, tail needs to wag, otherwise it's England's game and series on the first day. Well, I think that might be looking at it from what we might call a Hendo point of view from a South African. South Africa's bad preparation for this series shows already, he says. Well, I haven't paid much attention to South Africa's preparation.
What do you do to prepare for a season when you're at home?
Play, I suppose. Play a lot.
What it has been
as close to the format as you could possibly get, which would be probably 4-day regional cricket.
Right, but you know, as a test team though, you can't prepare
as a team, but
no.
The individuals have to do what you're going to be doing. I would have thought.
Do good cricket. Anyway, the man who I called was about 0.25 of a spinner earlier on. He's going to bowl.
His voice is high-pitched and ginger hair like a pick, but massive runs he has hit, so there's that. Introduce yourself.
Joe Root.
Introduce yourself.
Joe Root.
Introduce yourself.
Joe Root, actually.
England's frontline spinner in this match, Joe Root. The captain brings himself on.
Denley.
Oh, Denley, yeah. Joe Denley. It's De Kock will take the first ball as Root. That's outside the off stump. That's not too good a ball, and De Kock has plenty of time to ease that one down to the third man boundary for one of these.
Well, you also formerly head of understatement at Channel 4. That was one of the worst deliveries you'll see in Test cricket.
It wasn't even a great shot. He's just got an under edge on it, and there's no one there.
I was fairly understated, actually. Yes.
Shocking delivery.
It was, yes, it's what KP would have called filth. Scott moves on to 24. He's got most of those in boundaries. Root bowls to him also down the outside the off stump, and De Kock leaves that one alone. But
you know what?
I hasn't got his radar yet.
I think he might have got all of those in boundaries.
Yes, could be.
Ooh,
Didn't he hit?
I think the
Yes.
highest first-class score only in boundaries is about 46 or
Ooh,
something like
there's
that.
a
Wasn't that
challenge
John
route,
Embury?
and
It
there's
was
going to
John
be
Embury.
could be another one. It's on high and aerials, and but actually, and it could be a spilled catch there. Did he get to? Did the fielder at long off get to that? Let's have a look who it is. It's Jimmy Anderson.
running back from
He's
mid-on.
picking himself up
Yeah.
off his knees. Ben Stokes is giving him a round of applause, so as if to say, well done, Jimmy, for getting there. Now, did he get to there and did he spill it? It was tossed up by Joe Root. De Kock coming down to it, lofting it over his head.
That's a
A
terrible
little
shot.
bit risky with two men back, and Jimmy rounding to his left. Oh, just fails to get to it. Made an effort to get to it, but couldn't quite get his fingers on it, so it can't go down as a drop, but it could go down as a miss. Andy, how did you see that?
No, he couldn't quite get there. It's a little bit unfortunate. Archer had more ground to cover, obviously would cover that ground more quickly than Anderson, but it was Anderson's catch and he just couldn't quite get there.
The next ball from Root is just stroked out to mid-wicket by Pretorius in more orthodox fashion. So
I would say
Yes,
that
Fred.
actually Root's plan has worked.
Yes.
I mean, he
Sure,
didn't get the
yeah.
wicket, but it has worked, and now he should come out of the attack and let the other bowlers
Right,
go.
yeah, okay. But certainly, almost as Cott was listening to our conversation, he was going for that record of most runs in boundaries.
Which is now
'cause-
safe. Yeah.
Yeah, it came down the track. It was a very lofted shot with both men back, long on, long off.
No,
so-
they weren't back. They were
They were
Halfway
running
back.
They were
back,
running
yeah.
back.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But they were halfway back. They
Oh, they
weren't
were halfway,
orthodox
were they?
They were
position
inside
yet.
the circle, which doesn't exist. Armchair Cricket Podcast says Sam Curran bowling a really probing spell here, hitting speeds of 136 kph. Does this show he can gain pace as he grows into his mid-20s, and his best is yet to come?
Ooh.
I don't know. We'll get back to you when we see how he does.
Okay, next one from De Kock is forward defensive. Let's say that the mid-on and mid-off are set back. Let's settle for that. They're
Yeah, they're halfway.
they're
Yeah.
halfway. Yeah. So yes, it was a plan from Joe Root, and so nearly came off, as Fred said. That one is speared into the leg stump, and De Kock helps it down to long leg. Takes a single end of that over.
You have to say that you can't see De Kock doing that again, so in which case he might as well come out of the attack.
Maybe so. Just regarding that point about Sam Curran, a famous historian was once asked, what do you think the biggest effects of the French Revolution were? And he said, I'll let you know.
Yeah, that was actually didn't really happen like that. It was a Chinese, one of the leaders of China, and it was a failure in translation.
Don't spoil my anecdotes.
Yeah, but it is a better anecdote. Chris the Choir says to Messi Jersey, he can add Wikipedia to the list of things not existing 20 years ago. And when did Wikipedia start?
Quite early in internet terms.
When did they start begging for money?
Soon after that. If you'd like to become a Patreon on Guerrilla Cricket,
Yes, something worthwhile where you can't edit our content.
Can you complete that sentence, Andy?
then become a Patreon on
Yeah.
patreon.com, patreon.com/Guerrilla Cricket.
Here's Sam Curran to start a new over with the score at 125 for 5. If you're just tuning in after a late night last night, England put South Africa into bat. Jimmy Anderson's returning to the England team got a wicket with his very first ball. Down the leg side, wasn't a great ball either. Dean Elgar was out for Markram for 20 to Sam Curran, and Zubain Hamza batted well for 39 before Broad got him, and then Broad got a second wicket with Du Plessis, the valuable wicket of Du Plessis, 29. Next ball is played down by De Kock for no run, and that's 1, 2, 3, 4. And the other wicket to fall was the other debutant, Hendrik Erasmus van der Dusen for 6. Court Root bowled Curran. So in terms of the wickets, Curran's taken 2 for 22, and he's in his 10th over now. Broad 2 for 29 off 11, and Anderson 1 for 25. Jofra Archer came close to getting the wicket of Du Plessis. Forward defensive from De Kock for no run, and but he didn't get it because it was reviewed and caught behind, and was reviewed and was given not out. So he's in the book, no wicket for 41 off 9, and Joe Root with that over for 7, which Fred wishes would be his one and only over.
Well, mixing things up is all well and good. It should have worked. It didn't quite work. But let's leave it to the specialists.
Okay. Here's a Curran again to De Kock, who's on 26. It's short. De Kock doesn't need any invitation to go for that. Pulls it to the square leg boundary. There's no one down at deep square leg, and it's gone for one of these. One of those.
I did click it. No, I did.
Eins, zwei,
Double click.
drei, vier.
Yeah, Mog says something which I'm pretty sure is not true. He says another thing that didn't exist 20 years ago. List of things that didn't exist 20 years ago.
Oh, that's an interesting
It's a very,
idea for.
very meta. Meanwhile, I think this laptop has had too much Christmas fare. It's all gummed up.
Curran gets that one to drift a little bit away from De Kock, who's equal to it, plays it defensively, but De Kock, as is his wont, looking to get on with it. Even though the situation is pretty perilous for South Africa, he's keeping up his attacking play, putting back to ball.
I don't mind that.
Yeah.
You know, you can turn innings round, and if you dig in too much, you can just get in a situation where you're not scoring any runs at all. And,
Almost gave his wicket away last over, Andy.
Well, he did. Oh, I'm not saying there's no risk. There's absolutely a risk.
Yeah, but if you don't take any risks, you wouldn't get out of bed in the morning.
That's right.
Curran, and that's wide, an under edge from De Kock. He goes for it without moving his feet. He gets an under edge that's gone all the way down to the fine leg boundary for another 4.
1, 2, 3, 4.
De Kock's 7th 4. He's on 34 from just 29 balls. A strike rate more usually seen in the white ball game, and indeed De Kock is someone who perhaps has more success in the white ball game, but he's playing his own way, and he's already up to 34, which could be a low scoring match, could be valuable.
That's the other
runs.
thing. You know, you can get a quick 50, and if this turns out to be a 200 all the way game, that can be valuable runs.
No, I
agree.
agree.
He's got some pedigree in Test cricket. He's certainly worth his place, I think.
Yeah, no, absolutely right. Yeah, no, and I think it's good to see someone getting on with it. You don't want to see people poking around in these situations.
Well,
it might not actually work, because Pretorius is doing that at the other end. 42 overs have gone, not that matters. It's 133 for 5. In this session we've had 16 overs, 2 wickets have fallen, but 54 runs have been scored. So it's all action. More action here than you'll see in that Australia and New Zealand test match, where it was quite a slow day in the first day. Joe Root's kept himself on. Yes, another over, and this is driven by Pretorius, who's allowed to get the single, because that... you say the mid-on is halfway back. Do you think you should have... I would have brought him up for Pretorius.
Maybe
the
wants
rookie.
another go at De
I would
Kock.
have, yeah, maybe. Well, surely you want to have a go at the new batsman, Pretorius, who hasn't looked comfortable so far. But, OK, Joe Root's going to have another go at De Kock now. So those mid-on and mid-off are halfway back. It's Anderson and Archer in the floppy. And Joe Root bowls to... There's a short leg as well, and De Kock goes for that one with a cover drive, and it's a man right back on the deep cover boundary who does the fielding. Who's that under the floppy hat there?
Denley.
Oh, thank you. Oh, your favourite, Fred? Boo. Joe Denley. Anyone who didn't hear Fred early on, you'd think that he had an unsuccessful spell for Middlesex. He did all right for
Nothing to do with
Middlesex.
Middlesex. He's just not in the top 20 batsmen in the country.
Okay, well,
Should not be in this team.
Did you write your top 20 down on that piece of paper?
I just picked 20 names at random. They'd all be better than him.
Root. And this one's got Pretorius puts back to ball this time. He's gone aerial. And is that going to go all the way? Yes, it does. It goes all the way into the 5th or 6th row of the stand over long on.
Well, that was a point I was going to make, that they might... Pretorius might find it so much easier against Root. They might inadvertently let him settle down.
Yeah, exactly, yes. That could prove Fred's point as well, who's taking a well-earned refreshment break of his own there from one of the largest bottles of ginger beer I think I've ever seen. That's gone for 6. So Pretorius is into his... Well, he's
one over too
9.
long this spell.
Yeah, here's Root again. Let's see what's happening now. Pretorius plays a fluent drive past the short extra cover. Jofra Archer does the tidying up for 1 run. So Pretorius, bit of relief for him. He was under pressure from the seam bowlers. He's now moved on to 10. And that brings De Kock back. It's all action here. South Africa 142 for 5. Exciting day of Test match cricket. Not a dull moment. Not a dry eye in the house.
Not a dry seat in the house.
And De Kock gets an edge on that. It just bounces in front of Ben Stokes. Just bounces in front of him. Stokes says, I don't think that carried. He's not saying he didn't take it, but...
Well, the umpire should send it upstairs. No two ways about it. I don't think you should have to appeal for this.
If you ask me to make a decision, it didn't carry.
No.
Whether you think there's enough doubt to send it up.
Well, the umpire's strolling over
What
to have a
harm is
chat.
there by sending it up?
Well, then
indeed.
people do complain that they send it up too much. He's having a chat with the square leg umpire who might have had a bit.
They
of,
are now
bit of
sending
view.
it
They
up,
are
Fred.
gonna
Your
have a
wish
look.
And he's
has
saying
been
not. I think his
granted.
soft signal was not out.
I'm sure it would be.
And,
but the third umpire's Damascena, so it's bingo time.
Well, certainly Ben Stokes didn't claim the catch.
He might give it as a 6. You never know with Damascena.
Ben Stokes had that. Oh, I'm not so sure. I don't want to say I didn't take it, but I don't want to say I took it. But he didn't make any claims, so it has gone upstairs. Fred, your wish has been at the umpire's command.
And if this is not a wicket, then, as I say, Root should have been off before this over. Even the fact that he's edged one to slip.
I hate it when they give those, but it's clearly not out.
That was Chris Gaffney, wasn't it? So we're seeing the replay now. It's definitely hit the ground.
Well,
Let's move. Let's get on with the game.
Absolutely, definitely, it's hit the ground.
Wow,
It has. Look at it there.
It's a soft signal, Fred.
Use
so
the
let's
F
not
word.
delay.
Use the F word.
Let's not delay the game.
Foreshortening.
It's a it's a soft signal with not out. So there's no conclusive proof that was out. So Fred, I'm all in favour of getting on with the game. 142 for 5. Chris Gaffney deciding that was a not out.
Right, Muttley says something else that didn't exist 20 years ago. Brexit. I don't think that's true. The cricket guy says most of the camp, I'm assuming the South African camp, didn't play the latest round of 4-day series except for Markram. Easy to criticise now, but Boucher and co thought they needed a camp get-together to try and change the atmosphere around the camp. A lot of camp in this tweet, from stuff happening outside of it.
Well,
I think the best warm-up for cricket is to play cricket.
Root bowls, and that's played out by de Kock for a single. No doubt the ECB would have done the same. They'd do anything to stop the England team from playing
and the players
matches.
don't want to play very much either, do they?
Yeah, but they'd rather do that than go on boot camps in Germany.
Well, yeah, it wasn't a boot camp. It wasn't. I mean, if ever a team needed a get-together, there's been a lot of chaos behind the scenes. And at that point about preparation for this match, there's been a lot of chaos administratively behind the scenes. That, whatever you say, it's unsettling for the players when you've got a new director of cricket, a new coach.
Does that kind of thing bother players?
I think it does. I think it does because
just play. Best practice is playing in match situations.
Well, try telling that to the ECB, Fred.
Well, I'm happy
Have you tried
to.
telling that?
Tai Ping Shan talking about the. It's too early to say. It was Zhao Enlai who was referring. He thought he was referring to the 1968 Paris student demonstrations, but the interpreter, when the question was about the French Revolution of 1789. So there's that was the real story. But as you say, the anecdote is better than the truth, as is often the way.
Well, what a wonderful breadth of insight you're providing this morning, Fred.
And our tweeters.
And tweeters, yes. Yeah. Thank you for the Twitterati. Well, Fred, I know you never want to take credit for a piece of knowledge that's come from the Twitter
Well, I never do anything
sphere.
good, so I have nothing to take credit for.
Yeah. What, South Africa 1-4-3 for 5 with de Kock on 36, Pretorius on 10. Is this Anderson returning to the attack?
I think it is.
It is.
Oh, God.
Here he is, Anderson to de Kock outside the off stump. Fred, I heard you let out a godly expletive there. Was that not your reaction to the return of Jimmy Anderson?
It's about a tweet. Imagine, who is Saliar 56, says about things that didn't exist 20 years ago. Apparently on the Fox coverage of Australia versus New Zealand earlier today, which I remind you is a test match, they were talking about something called the smash factor. Does anyone want to enlighten us what the smash factor is?
I think it's the speed the ball comes off the bat compared to what it... I think it's a golf term, actually, isn't it? It's more commonly a golf term.
Well,
it's something to do with how hard you hit the ball, anyway.
OUCH spells ouch. Anderson. And that's flashed at by de Kock. It's gone over the slips, over the gully, down to the third man boundary. Not in control of that shot, but it's 4 more to de Kock.
That one had a slash factor.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Using all the skills from Hospital Radio Chelmsford all those years ago, Andy.
Exactly, just like Alan Partridge, that's where he cut his teeth.
Well, he learnt from you all he had to know.
Yes, it was a slashed, as Andy said there, by de Kock. Wide, it was wide outside the off stump. It was up to him, and if you offer anything to de Kock, he's going to go for it. As we were discussing, there's risk factors. And but if you're going to flash, as David Lloyd would say, flash hard.
And there are return factors.
Well, this pair has put on 36 in pretty quick time, and these could be valuable runs.
Well, they could indeed. But you say we don't know until England have a go themselves. Here's Anderson.
Twice.
And outside the off stump this time, de Kock leaves that one alone. It was a better length. But anything up there, de Kock's going to have a go at, and anything short, he's going to have a go at. And he's got to 40. And as you say, he's got his 40 runs in the book.
And the bowling team don't mind if he's having a go because they're pretty sure a chance will come. But there are some batsmen who manage to consistently have a go and still don't find the fielders.
No, indeed.
But then again, he hit one from root straight up in the air that Anderson could have caught.
Well,
He
that's
edged one to slip, which
That
could have carried.
famous Ashes series, Australia seemed to be 150 for 5 every time.
Yeah,
and
and
Brad
Gilchrist.
had him.
Anderson, he goes for it again, and there's a chance at
That was
gully. It
drop,
was a
was it?
swinging ball. It swung away from de Kock, and de Kock again drawn into the shot, taking it on. The gully fielder, who we'll identify in a moment, had a dive to the left. Didn't quite get a hand on it. It's gone through for another boundary.
Was it Burns? No, bounced in front of him. Didn't carry.
It definitely swung, and it didn't carry. It pitched to the, and it was Burns who tried to haul that one in. So, well, Jimmy's having a sort of single teapot there, having a hard look at de Kock, who's not making any eye contact with him. 2 boundaries off this over, and de Kock is steaming on. The crowd are enjoying this. Anderson bowls outside the off stump. De Kock this time guides it down to a deep cover point, and they go through for a single. Yep. So, well, we don't mind de Kock playing like this, and certainly the crowd are enjoying it because he's got he's scoring a lot of runs. It's making for a very compulsive viewing at the moment.
Dave Wood said the smash factor 20 years ago would have been about instant mashed potato and subsequent tummy issues.
Ah, yes, for mash.
I thought he was talking about what players were doing to random people in bars in their downtime.
And that was more than 20 years ago. It was more like 40 years ago, those adverts, weren't they?
With little aliens with
Yes.
plastic heads, yeah.
Here's Anderson, and that's forward defensive by Pretorius, the debutant, who's on 10. And that's the end of that over. 44 gone. South Africa 1-5-2 for 5.
Well, as I say, Pretorius helping to build a partnership by hanging in there. Not looking 100% solid, but as I say, they put on 40 valuable runs.
I didn't hear his jingle when he came into bat. Is it Duran's and the Tories?
Duran and the Tories, yes.
Should we have it in the game?
Can do, yeah.
Oh, that's very kind of you.
Can never hear enough Duran. I think that's incorrect.
No one ever said that.
I can't find him
Yes,
now.
things
there
you'll
he is.
never hear.
Victorious. Victorious.
I mean, I love that. Who's that, Jeff or Mog?
We don't know. It's Mog, I think.
It's Mog. Nice one, Mog. Thank you.
Well,
here's Joe Root's still
2 overs too many.
still continuing, and de Kock pushes forward. So, how many runs off this over would you say, Andy, as a betting man?
10. But
10.
maybe a chance.
Okay,
Maybe a chance to
here's
go with
Root,
it.
and it's
Ooh.
attempted paddle around the corner. But he doesn't make proper contact, and it's Sibley, yes, the opening batsman for England, who runs in and does the fielding. There's no run. 1-5-2 for 5. So 4 balls to go. Andy thinks 10 or 4.
I'd want some odds for 10.
Here's Root, and again an attempted paddle shot, but it's only paddled for a single.
No, it's a dot.
A dot. He turns it down. I thought Pretorius was running down looking for the run, but that's an odd sort of shot, isn't it, from de Kock?
He's
Better
clearly
25 to 1 on 10 off this over now.
Yeah, he's clearly premeditating those. There he goes.
And
again.
this time he attempts the same paddle shot, yet again not making proper contact. It flies over Ben Stokes' head at slip and goes down towards the third man boundary. Stokes does the chasing, and they get 2, but I'd say moral victory for Joe Root there.
Definitely
Because
not
de
great
Kock-
spell.
Not really a chance. Not really a chance. I think he's got that on the toe of the bat.
That's a horrendous shot.
Yeah, it was a poor shot, almost village.
You'd
in
really
its,
think he'd be better off just with a
execution.
hard sweep, even if he only gets 1 for it.
Yeah, he's attempted 3 times. He's gone for that paddle. First time, hardly any contact. Second time, possible single. Third time, top edge over the slip's head. What's going to happen now? Root, it's up there. He drives, and that's a better shot. But there's a man back on the yes. He's running round to do the fielding, and there's 2. Joe Denley, Fred's favourite player, doing the fielding. 1-5-6 for 5. I thought Joe Denley fielded that ball impeccably, Fred.
Sally R sent us a picture of Smash Factor. I'm not quite sure what it's doing, but it looks very impressive.
What does it do?
She says, clever bit of tech, dreadful name.
and this last ball is played more orthodox fashion by de Kock. So, well, we had thrills and spills. No doubt de Kock was attempting to score 10 off the over. As it was, he only got a couple. He's on 49. South Africa 156 for 5.
Well, the link is that a computer boffin from America has finally unpacked the mysteries of batting that have stayed a tantalising secret in cricket for over a century. Call me sceptical after that first sentence. Bat speed, shot power, the middle, blah-de-blah, and it's all called smash factor. We'll measure data such as bat speed, launch angle, shot power and timing, vibrations of the bat, sweet spot, blah-de-blah-de-blah.
Those
Anyway.
boffins, eh?
Thank you, Sceptical.
Oh, those boffins.
Thank you, Sceptical.
How do I get back to Twitter now? Anyone?
Dwayne Pretorius, no youngster, making his debut at the age of 30 years and 272 days. And he's labelled on Crick Info as a bowler, but he's certainly in the team as an all-rounder, and he lets this one go outside the off-stump. And a man with a jingle that's so good and so fresh that let us know if you'd like to hear it a third time. I certainly would. South Africa 156 for 5. Repetition is a much underrated thing, Andy, on
comedy comes
radio.
in,
Did you
comedy
find that
comes in threes, so we shouldn't play it any more than 3 times.
No, but how many times has it played so far?
Twice.
Ah, there we go. Led you into that.
Des has said that I think Bob Willis would have liked guerrilla cricket. He was apparently quite dry and irreverent. I'm not sure that he would have, actually.
Here's Anderson, and that's Pretorius flashes at that one, and he gets a pretty thickish, not really an edge, but it goes
Streaky.
Yeah, it's a bit streaky, and it goes down for 4. Well, Pretorius showing why he's played 22 one-day internationals, but this is his first Test match after that shot.
Well, South Africa have been trying a few people in this kind of role. Chris Morris, who was the other guy?
I know the one you're trying to think of.
Hardest Nails, Hardest Villiers, although he wasn't so much of a batsman. Boyron Hendricks, is he a bowler or a batsman?
Here's Anderson, and that's left by. I wonder if you put a Colpack 11 up against this team. You know, Colpack South African 11 playing county cricket now. It'd be an interesting game, wouldn't it? Maybe we could organise that for a wager.
Enough said. Says variable bounce on second sessions of a 5-day match. Have we seen any variable bounce? I don't think we have. Oh, I've not noticed any.
Well, there's been some steep bounce, but nothing keeping low, that's for sure. No. And I think it's a pitch where you get out what you put in, Fred.
Well, it's,
call me sceptical.
Very existentialist thinking there from you.
Thank you. And here's Anderson. Pretorius pushing at that, not completely convincingly, but he's going to get a single as Curran does the fielding. So that brings it back on to strike de Kock. He's on 49. And he's caught having a little chat to Pretorius. Andy, sorry.
Yeah, we have a 50 partnership.
50 partnership. There's a little exchange of gloves and a friendly handshake. Never has 30 minutes gone so fast. The Bear is poised to return with fuel in hand. It's 50 partnership. Let's see if we can get Quinton de Kock to his 50. And he's on 35 and Pretorius on 15, but it's come in just 55 balls this. 2 balls left to this over. Let's get de Kock to his 50 before the Bear comes into play. Anderson to de Kock. This could be it. No, it's not. It goes straight to cover and there's no run. 161 for 5 South Africa. Bear, have you had a bet on this game so far? Oh. Bear's yet to strike gold in this, but it's the clever money on, I wonder, at this stage. No doubt Bear will find some value for you during the course of the day if you stick with guerrilla cricket. And here's 1 ball left from me, and Bear's coming in, and also Roger will be back as Anderson on his return to Test cricket, and this is his 50. De Kock pulling that wide of mid-on, a 50 in absolutely no time at all. His 18th Test victory, 50 in just 45 balls, is it? 162 for 5 South Africa, a 50 for Quinton de Kock. And now, after a little interspell, we're going to have a change in the commentary team with Bear and Roger coming back into play.
A little jingle that probably...
You doing full by ball, Bear? Bear is going to be on ball by ball, so don't miss a ball.
Probably everyone here will find unnecessarily personal.
When you're 50, sometimes you drink till you pass out on the
Yeah, Quinton de Kock. Well, England seemed to be quite upset about the fact that catch wasn't given after looking at the replays themselves, didn't they?
I think having been given not out from the soft,
it was going to be. It was never going to be overturned, but actually it was closer than it looked.
If he'd have given it out,
it would have remained out. Yeah. I think Stokes kind of talked himself out of it, really, didn't he? Root is going to continue, and this is really fucking bad. I don't know why Root is on bowling.
Well, yeah, I've said that, but he's had a chance virtually every over.
Well, yeah, it's only because they're really going after. I mean, Quinton, maybe that's the plan. Quinton de Kock's going after.
Well,
trying to
he
buy
was nearly
a
caught
wicket.
by Anderson. He edge one just short of slip, which didn't quite carry, and he's top edge one over slip. That's 3 chances in 3 overs.
Well, he is trying everything, and he slashed at that one, and that was a bit aerial for a while, but it dropped short of Broad, who's a backward point, and there's no run.
Ben Karpinski says, vintage de Kock. Can't really argue with that.
Well, me and Roger were just talking about this outside. I remember him doing this quite a lot against us, really. That's nicely driven. He's looking for a shot of ball, isn't he? And it's driven out to cover, no run.
I was remembering he did it the last time they were in England. It was at Lords, and it was a 36 ball 50 he did.
Something like that.
Yeah.
That's defended out to cover again, there's no run. And didn't he get a ton, quite a quick ton with Amler when he got his 300 odd when England got that stupid score and Stokes got his 250. That's driven out just wide of cover. Bairstow's there, still got his pads on. Fielding in short.
Hamlin didn't get his 300 when Stokes got his 250.
No, well, he got a big 200.
He got a double 100, yeah.
He got a double 100. He got dropped about 5 times, didn't he? And then we could have ended up losing that match in the end. Fortunately, they went off a bad light, and that was that. That was a silly game.
The best bit of that Stokes' 250 is that Hendo slept all the way through it.
Yeah. See you later, Dave. Dave's off. And you will see him later on in the series at some point. Broad is in. That's driven hard. Straight over the top. Not sure if that's 6. It looks like it's... Is that 6 or 4? I think it might have landed on
5.
the sponge.
Let's call it 5.
Let's call it. Split the difference. I think it landed on the sponge. The question is, did it land just before the sponge and halfway over it? Or did it hit on the full?
Let's talk about sex.
Oh, there's a judgment there from...
No, we're talking about it.
Let's talk about
That's true.
Let's talk about 4. James Humberson asks, is it just me and Messi Jez in the GPL? I don't know. I haven't looked at the entries.
You can't really tell from that angle. They're looking from behind.
Tony Cork says that there's... he's replying to something. What's he replying to? One of Knackle's tweets. He says there's an Aussie cock, root and luck joke, but the Xmas period has made it too difficult for me to assemble it. Essentially for now it's an IKEA joke. I'll send the Allen key in a separate tweet.
They're giving it as 4. It wasn't a 6. Pretorius moves on to 15 off 22. And the problem I have with this is that Root is getting some tap, and whilst we did get 5 reasonably, we got to 100 odd for 5, which is really good. They've quickly moved on to 167 for 5. And I think you need to just keep the pressure on. They're right under the cosh. Anderson starts the next over, and the Cock leaves the first ball through the keeper, and there's no run.
In that game, the Stokes 258, Amla double 100. Quinton de Kock did come in at 439 for 5, so you'd expect him to give it some slap, but no, he was out for 5.
Oh, okay.
And Chris Morris Bavuma got 100, Chris Morris got 60.
Yeah. And Bavuma's out for this test, isn't he? He's got a hip flexor injury. Could keep him out for a couple of tests. Jimmy in. It's a good ball outside the off stump. The Cock leaves it through the keeper, and there's no run. You've got to try and contain him, really. Quinton de Kock, I don't think.
Do we think Stokes is fit to bowl?
I don't know. Well, they've gone inside and they've got a 5-man seam attack, so presumably they're thinking he is going to bowl.
Well, have they said that, or has that been the pundits?
Well, that's been the pundits.
Looking down the team and saying they've got a 5-team seam attack.
I'm sure they would have said if he was fit to bowl. Maybe they wouldn't. Defended out to cover, where it's fielded by Denley, and there's no run. By Quinton de Kock. 167 for 5. He's on 51 off 53. Pretorius 19 off 23. And in Pretorius doesn't look a great batsman. I mean, he doesn't look particularly organised. His bat is way away from his pad. He seems to be stretching for the ball. But he's quite happy to club through the line when it comes to Rooty. And if Quinton de Kock is going to play like this, maybe you want to concentrate on the other end as well. I mean, you've got to try and get him out. Jimmy Anderson in. It's on the hip of de Kock, who clips that down to presumably long leg, where Archer's fielding, and they're going to single. I mean, Archer's only had one little spell in this afternoon's session. And he's only bowled 9 overs. Sam Curran's only bowled 10, Broad 11. Come on, they must be able to do another spell before tea. I don't see why. The pitch doesn't seem to be offering much turn. I just don't get why Root's bowling himself, apart from the fact he's captain and he can.
And the fact that he could have had 3 wickets.
Yeah. But having not taken them after 4 overs 26, you've whipped yourself off. It's not your day, mate. Jimmy in, bowls. Pretorius leaves that outside his off stump. There's no run.
Another point is that we've just seen bowlers bowling that you've got over 8 considerations, and the penalties now for over 8s are points deducted from the World Test Championship. I think that's something that teams will want to avoid.
I've very rarely seen 90 overs bowled in a day though. I think they were a couple of times against New Zealand.
I have a ton. I think you're thinking of Bear was at the end of that series on this ground where de Kock got a quick 100.
Oh, okay. Jimmy in, and you know, Pretorius just plays away from his body there, stands firmly in his crease, just waves his bat at it, and blocks it out through point. It's chased down. I get back for 2 though.
I'll jog your memory, shall I? It was in the first innings. South Africa batted first, and he came in at 273 for 5 when Duminy got out, so you would have enjoyed that.
Yep.
Your least favourite cricketer.
You probably won a bet when he got out as well.
Yeah, Bobby, I think I did. I think I went under him virtually every innings he had.
And he got de Kock ended on 129 not out from 128 balls, 17 fours and 2 sixes. He loves hitting boundaries. That's what I like about de Kock.
Did we win the last test? Or was that
no, then England folded before lunch on the last day for 101 all out. I think it inspired a really classic Hendo rant because they'd just given up on a sort of a dead.
Was that the last test of the series?
Yeah.
So we were already 2-0 up then by now?
Yes.
Because we won 2-1,
yeah,
didn't
exactly
we? Yeah.
So.
Armchair Cricket Podcast says, what a boring, lethargic, momentum-sapping innings here from Quinton de Kock. I hope he gets out soon. James Humberston says, pretty smart double bluff to place Stokes as the 5th seam bowler, but not actually bowl him.
It does seem a bit weird. Turn that off. Put it on quiet.
The Bears' phone's gone off. So I think you should do your phone call on air.
There's an unknown number.
Unknown, oh no. There's a story behind the unknown number. Ooh. No, well, you know, I'll give it to you slowly as we go through because it's quite entertaining. Stuart Broad is back into the attack, thank God. Rooty is off, and his first ball defended back down the track by Quinton de Kock, and there ain't no run. I thought about day trading, so I joined up with some. First time I've ever clicked on an advert on Facebook, so I clicked on this advert and it looked quite interesting. Some Bitcoin trading nonsense.
Don't catch it with a barge bolt.
Well, don't ever do it. It turned out to be an advertising site that you actually couldn't do anything on, and it ended up getting passed through to some fucking broker at a proper bloody, you know, dodgy dealing house in Switzerland. Clipped out through the leg side by de Kock. I think it's going to beat the fielder. No. Oh, good dive by Johnny B. Full on Superman swan dive. And he managed to drag it back before it got to the boundary. Then can't pick it up and follow through. And probably got 3. Yeah, I think they got 3 there. Anyway, this guy's been chasing me ever since, trying to get me to deposit 5 or 10 grand in some trading account. It's like, no, I'm not doing that. So I just keep avoiding his calls now. And he always comes up as unknown, so I know it's him.
It rather defeats the object, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The known unknowns.
And it's a good bit of fielding by Johnny B there.
Yeah, well, he is the fastest man in the England team. He does love herring after a ball.
He's a very, very good outfielder.
Yeah.
He's not a very good wicketkeeper.
No. He is not. But he is a spare keeper. If Butler gets injured again. Oh, for fuck's sake. Put it on silent. That's Hangling down leg side, and there is no run. Do you want to pass me the phone?
It was an unknown number again. He's coming for you.
He is coming for me. He's been trying. I give him marks of resilience because he's been trying this now for about a week and a half, and I've not answered one of his phone calls.
So how do you know who it is then?
Because everyone else's number comes up. He's tried emailing me. He's tried texting me, going, "You're not interested anymore," which I don't reply to. Which, I would say that kind of says no.
You could say yes, and then he wouldn't phone you again.
Well, I don't think that'd be the case. He'd then try calling me and convincing me he's quite a good hard seller. Pretorius leaves that through the keeper, no run.
As much as I admire Bairstow running around, the fact that he's in for Pope is a great disappointment to me.
Pope's ill.
I know. But
yeah, I wanted to see Pope. He scored a ton in the warm-up game, didn't he?
And it's the time of year for Pope. He always gets on the front pages with his Christmas message and everything.
Yeah.
Says the same thing every year. Greg Smith says, which is the name of his Twitter handle,
the former Knots,
brought in, driven by Pretorius. Again, away from his body up to mid-off, no run.
I ought to say Greg Smith says. So playing T20 cricket in Test is cool. 51 off 52 balls. He's oblivious of the match situation. Seen him coming in at Centurion to play 4-4-4 out 2 balls prior to tea is the sign of a player not being a Test player. That's what Greg Smith says.
Ooh.
It's a viewpoint.
It is a viewpoint.
Maybe it is the Greg Smith, the South African, who maybe he's grumpy that he never got a call.
It's the highest score in the South African side, isn't it? So far, Pretorius defends that into the leg side. There's no run.
Oh wait, no, he was English. Why did I think he was?
Well, he is in South Africa.
Right.
2 for 32 for Broad off 12 overs. Not a bad little stint. I'd be tempted to give Stokes a little run if his knee's okay. I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? Well, obviously his dad is... Does anyone know what's up with his dad? His dad was ill and had a fall or something, wasn't he?
According to Dave Brooke earlier, he's doing better.
Yeah, so he's out of intensive care, apparently. He was in intensive care, which... Hope that's okay.
Did he beat someone up in a bar?
No. I don't know what... I heard it yesterday. It was a fall.
Well, there was a Greg Smith from South Africa as well. He played for Essex and Derbyshire. I was always getting them confused at the time, and I've done it again.
Well, there's nothing in this Twitter profile to suggest that it is that Greg Smith.
Therefore, you assume that it is.
That must be the case.
Of course.
It's an unknown, so we assume that it's a bloke from Switzerland.
Yes, well, there is that too. Oh, what's he bringing me on Boxing Day anyway?
They don't have that in Switzerland.
Don't know. Finally. I was going to say, why hasn't he bowled again? It's this man. We'll give him a jingle.
He will break your heart, harder than lava, cooler than bogart, in your face, at your stumps, on your toes, on your run.
God, I sort your levels out, David.
No, it's not. It's because everything was
deliberate distortion.
No, everything was really quiet earlier, and I fiddled around with it. Archer, he's got him. No, I thought he got him first ball. That must have gone off the seam because the Cott was, I think, was trying to work it into the leg side. Got himself in all sorts of trouble. His feet were nowhere. His bat came across his body. It seemed to go. It must have jagged off the seam. Missed the bat by quite a way. And was taken by Butler behind.
We have an ex-cathedra pronouncement from Knackle who says Dwayne Pretorius has been a dasher with the bat his whole career. He scores at 4 and over in first-class cricket, 6 and over in List A/ODI cricket, and 9 and over in T20 cricket.
Oh, okay. He doesn't look great.
Suspiciously round numbers there.
Yeah, clipped off his pads this time. Archer comes around the wicket and fires it down the leg side, and the Cock gets another 4. He moves on to 59. This is really sorted out, South Africa. Now 177 for 5.
And if you kids can't listen, then you bound to see the way you get shot for crossing a boundary,
Dave Wood's got an investment opportunity for you, Bear.
Uh-huh.
He says, if the Bear's interested, I recently made acquaintance in Nigeria. For a couple of £100, he will transfer you the recently dethroned King's millions to us. Let us know if you want in.
I know someone who got caught in that, defended back down the track and there's no run. When I was much younger, there was a bloke I knew, and the woman he lived with, not his partner, but someone he shared a house with, whose dad was Nigerian. And that whole Sonny Batcher scam thing was going on then. That must have been the start of it. And he literally did transfer quite a lot of money and kept going out to bloody Saudi Arabia, having these meetings with people. And this went on for about a year and a half. He kept saying, I'm going to get millions in a couple of, da-di-da-di-da. Of course, it would never happen. Too far into the pads again by Archer around the stumps to around the wicket, to De Kock, who clips it out to square leg, and there's no run.
Why can we not get bowler speeds in miles an hour? I don't want to sound like YOY from Tunbridge Wells, but I mean that's when they first started recording them. Jeff Thompson and all those boys in the 70s, when they were measured in miles an hour, right? So a bit of continuity from that would make sense,
well,
rather than just a sop to the metric system.
But I think the metric system has taken over.
But it doesn't have to in cricket when we're trying to compare how quick people are.
There's a appeal from Archer around the wicket, defended that by De Kock. I think beat the outside of his bat and went through to Butler. No one seems to be interested in having a review. Is Stokesy stretching? Maybe
Come on,
not.
Fred. This is sort of old-fashioned argument. You would tend to agree. I'm doing this for.
It's not
trying to get
something
you
that bothers me excessively. I think the whole reason of the miles per hour with Jeff Thompson specifically was to see if he could break 100, which is a milestone in base 10.
Yeah.
Which doesn't have the same ring as breaking 160 in kilometres.
No.
Exactly. And they do it in baseball, so it's a nice little comparison across the now.
Oh, good God, he's living dangerously. De Kock tries to cut that, gets an under edge. Either bounced over the stumps or just wide of his off stump. It's taken by Butler behind the stumps. No run, not out. He survives once again.
He does keep you interested.
He does.
Nakul Pandey has tweeted #StokesWatch. He was off the field for an hour either side of lunch, but he's now back on long enough to bowl. Think that stomach lurgy around the England camp hasn't quite settled yet.
No, it definitely hasn't. Apparently they've quarantined all the people who have. They're not allowed to leave their rooms in case it spreads. There was about 6 of them out with it earlier in the week. Broad's had it, Archer had it. I don't know if Anderson had it. Lost the picture.
I think Wokes had it.
No, Skybox satellite signals disappeared.
Should we just pretend guess what's happening?
We could do.
In comes Sibley. What?
Bowling to Philander. What's going on?
It's back. Pictures are back. Everyone relax.
Indeed.
Stay with us.
But no play for some reason.
No, it's between overs, that's why. Anderson bowled 14, Broad 12, Sam Curran 10. Broad is going to continue his 13th over, well wide of the off stump. Pretorius gets close to the ball but leads it through the keeper. There's no run.
Did you get anything nice for Christmas, Bear? The Cubs do anything special?
I got 3 bottles of whiskey.
Oh yeah, you mentioned those. Yeah.
And a drawing.
Is there anything
tablet.
left?
Yeah, there is now. It's good. It replenishes last year's whiskey supply, which got finished about 2 months ago, which was 5 bottles of whiskey I got last year.
I got Ben Stokes' story of his English summer, which of course I'm very grateful to, very sweet to my family, knowing that I like cricket, but honestly I'd rather read fucking the Daily Mail.
Driven by Pretorius up to extra cover.
We hope you're listening,
No
the
runs.
McCann family.
Yeah.
I actually requested a proper cricket book, but God, I sound
By
like
one of
such
your
a
mates
brat.
at the authors.
No, I really want to read that Christian Ryan, the book about Kim Hughes, Golden Boy, by Christian Ryan. It often gets cited as. Do you know the one I mean?
I do not.
Me neither.
As I said many a time, I'm not really into autobiographies.
Well, no, this isn't an this.
No, well, it's just a.
But yeah. Anyway, this
It's autobiography without the auto.
Yeah, Broad in outside the off stump. Pretorius leaves it through the keeper.
There should be a name for those.
No, thank you. I think it was bought for me by my nephews, in quotes, and one of them was called Ben.
My nephews, unquote.
It was from them to me, so bought by their mother.
Ah.
And the youngest one is called Ben, so it's exciting. So I will.
I saw the World Cup final described as the greatest cricket match ever on the BBC the other day. It wasn't even the greatest cricket match of the summer.
I don't know. Clipped nicely by Pretorius. A bit aerial, but wide of mid-wicket and races away down to the... Well, you'd call that cow, really. Boundary. 4 runs. Score moves on to 181 for 5.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Mog suggests checking the back of Stokes' whites to see how this lurgy is going on. And Greg Smith says Quinton de Kock playing a cameo when 450 plus is a par score. I'm not sure about that. And the match situation stands at 177 for 5. Is typical Quinton de Kock. No test match awareness. An ODI player in a test job. I'm getting the feeling that Greg Smith has had some run-ins with Quinton de Kock in the past.
Well, quite
maybe
possibly.
of a personal nature.
Here comes Broad. Left alone outside the off stump by Pretorius through the keeper. No run. Partnership 70 runs from 86 balls. It's going along at pretty clip. And Broad is running back to his marker. Does that mean that we got
about
T probably? Get one more over before T. There's about 4 minutes left, I thought.
Are they worrying about over rates? Well, they're about 10. They're about 9 runs short of where they ought to be.
9 overs.
Yeah.
Broad in bowls, driven. Good shot. Not enough pace on it to beat. I presume that's Jimmy.
Yes,
mid on, diving across, and there will be no run. Of course, I met Jimmy. Got a photo with Jimmy over the World Cup.
He's got a spanking new cap today. When you get 100, I think every time 50, you accrue 50 caps.
You get a new one.
You get a So he's got
get rid of the old salt-addled ones.
So he's looking extra dapper today.
Well, yeah, they've had 25 overs and only 26 overs in the first session, which means I'll have to get the extra half hour in today. If I remember right, I don't think the light will last long enough. Nicely driven by Quinton de Kock, and mid-on is wide, and no one's going to bother chasing that, and it runs away to the long-on boundary for 4 more. We lost the signal.
There's not one boy for me, I must have 2 or 3, I need 4.
Another 4 from Quinton de Kock. Greg Smith says he's going to be furious.
I know. I want Greg Smith says, keep tweeting us your thoughts.
Yeah.
Will you?
Well, yes. No, I don't want. We don't want to put you off from tweeting.
No,
because we're interested to hear all.
Exactly. Are you going to change it? Are you going to continue?
If he's 200 not out by the close of play.
Yeah.
Mogg says, who would have thought Roger McCann would be such a huge Christmas Grinch? And Dr. Leonie Hicks says, I'm informed by Ian Hawke that Golden Boy is excellent and Roger Pineapple should read it. Our Christmas cricket reading is Rob Smythe's Gentlemen and Sledgers. And Gordon Wells says, agree about the final being the best ODI. The Wanderers will have to take that sign down. Oh, well, that was tedious, that 431. I mean, well done for chasing it and all that, but as a game, it was not really very entertaining at all. We've got some picture issues here, so Roger, if you're monitoring this on any other media.
I'm trying to fire up my phone.
And
for moving pictures. Bear is tinkering away with the skybox.
Got no signal whatsoever.
And yeah, my phone is showing us stuff from about 10 minutes ago. An over ago anyway.
Well, it's an over for T.
Well, Rog, have a look at Crick Info.
Yeah.
And I'll try and get Sky Sports on my phone. I've got an advert of somebody taking a penalty.
2 balls into the 51st. Oh, we saw that good 4 down the ground.
And that was a short ball because I've just come back to see umpire Pete Rifle. Archer is bowling, and that was a short ball because I've just seen him tapping his shoulder. What happened off it? I'm not quite sure. 51.2 overs have gone. It's 185 for 5.
The 53rd over was a no ball.
Oh, well, let's have a look at a replay of this last delivery. It's short, and he swayed back nicely. That was a very good, very well directed short ball by Archer as he's in again and bowls, and defensive shot by de Kock. That'll please Greg Smith says, but it's a no ball. As predicted by the Bear, who probably put a lot of money on it and won a fortune. We're back.
Oh, we are.
So we've missed a ball there.
We have indeed. We've gone on to SD, standard definition.
Doesn't it look shit?
Yeah, it's amazing. We used to watch this all the time.
So flat.
Yeah. Archer around the wickets. Ooh, horrible ball. Well outside, wide of the off stump, and left alone by de Kock through the keeper. It's not going to be wide because it's
the missing ball was a dot.
Test cricket. Yeah. And 186 for 5. This will be the last over for T.
De
Cock's on 63 or 67 balls. He's going on a clip. Pretorius 25 or 35. And Archer yet to take a wicket. He's only in his 11th over and he's gone for 50 runs.
He's not bowled badly though.
No, he hasn't bowled that badly. A few loose balls. Could have had a wicket. It was given out and overturned. Archer around a wicket and the Cock leaves that one. One ball to go before tea. He's certainly got his pace up after being in South Africa, but South Africa, New Zealand. But I do wonder whether it's to do with speed guns in different parts of the world as well, and how they measure it, and maybe they have a proactive speed gun.
Well, you would think Hawkeye is measuring all that stuff. It ought to be very easy to measure the ball speed as well.
Yeah, but doesn't speed comes out in the hand and not how
it's measuring all of it because it's going to measure velocity and direction.
Archer, last ball before tea, into the pads of the Cock, who works that around the corner down to the long leg, where I think it was Sammy Curran fielding. And that will be a single. He'll retain the strike after tea. 187 for 5 after 52 overs. Tea on day 1. Considering we had them 111 for 5, they've moved on quite nicely. And the Cock's taken his chances, flashed at a few, but he's still there. We shall move on to something tea-like.
And we'll
From
be
the
back
archives.
in about 18 minutes time.
Yep. You can just go onto iTunes down the bottom, a little note thing. Left, right. No, right. iTunes. There you go. Choose something out of that and just press play.
All right.
Tell us what it is. Ireland versus England.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, go for it.
Why is it not coming up? I'm so technologically...
Just click on it.
I am.
Oh, ready?
Bear, you come over and do it.
Okay.
See you in a bit.
It's great to have you back. I'm great to have
genuinely delighted. All
Yes.
we need back is
Caprashu. Where is Caprashu? So this is flicked through mid-wicket. It seemed to hit low down on the bat, but it's caused the man back on the fence some difficulty. He's had to make about 30 yards to then dive and stop it going for 4. So route moves to 12.
Jane with a Y sends us some news from the IPL. Kolkata Knight Riders say that Royal Challengers Bangalore are 49 for 3 at the end of 7 overs. Those 3 are Gale, Virat and AB de V.
Oh yeah, they're having a terrible series, aren't they? Onto the back foot to a shorter delivery goes Root, and that's meat and drink for him. It's going to cause that same man, is it Paul Sterling out there? More trouble, and he'll get back for another comfortable 2. 85 for 2.
Paul Sterling!
Indeed, it is that man. And the extraordinary thing is about the IPL this year is they seem to be trying. Each of the teams seem to be trying to score a record low in IPL cricket. We've had, I think, 3 innings that have been completed in the 60s. Another one yesterday, I think, was Delhi made 66.
Yeah, wasn't that like chasing 200?
Yes, I know, extraordinary.
Did they complete their overs?
I don't think so. Again, flatter and shorter and pulled, and that'll probably be 4. But no, that's brilliant work by... Is that Paul Sterling? It can't be Paul Sterling. No, it's not Paul Sterling. Of course it's not Paul Sterling. It's a bearded man who I don't recognise.
No, don't. I was...
Paul Sterling!
Well, even if it isn't Paul Sterling, we'll try and pretend that Paul Sterling is absolutely brilliant in the field. That was a wonderful piece of fielding by Al Burney, of course. He slid around, took it cleanly in one hand, turned, got up, and threw it back. Got through for 3, I think. This time. No, just a 1, in fact.
Very dark eyed.
Yeah, just the 1. Brilliant stuff from him.
Oh dear, people are laughing at you, Hendo. I'm sorry.
Laughing at me?
Woy Pom says, news just in. Hendo informed knitting can be done on a machine. Welcome to 1860. And Mog says, as far as technology goes, I suspect Hendo has only recently left the Bronze Age.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. A short ball again, which is wide outside of your stump, and Morgan has a lot of time to go back and lever that across to long on and take the 1. 87 for 2.
Messi Jez says, in anticipation of your Ashes visit, you will be delighted to know that I have acquired a coffee machine. Beats the kettle.
That is absolutely wonderful news. Absolutely wonderful. I do hope that's going to come off. We're still waiting to hear a sort of absolute confirmation of initial sponsorship. This is driven back to Dockrell. Final ball of the over. His first over has gone for 6. England are 87 for 2.
What do you say, initial sponsorship? Is someone going to sponsor the letters G and C?
Well, they can possibly do. If anyone out there wants to sponsor the initials GC, then absolutely. But as I say, there are things in the offing at the moment, and we're very excited, and we hope they're going to come off. But there's still a long way to go.
Motley says, how can you not have a women's ODI replica if there's a women's ODI team? I've asked this too, and apparently it seems that they only make 11 of them. So they don't make any extras for people who want to buy them who are not in the top 11 women cricketers.
What? So hang on. But there must be a squad of about 14 or 15.
Okay,
so they get one.
Possibly.
Do they not have one for the
maybe they
for
have
the 12th man?
I think possibly she just hands around in her sports bra until someone comes off the field, and then they have to swap on the boundary. To be fair, I think the attendance would be higher if that was the case. So.
Yeah, it's possible. McCarthy's going to continue. He's got figures of 1 for 11 from 2 overs. And Morgan is about to face. He's on 18 from 16. Root has 15 from 18. And Morgan is waiting with bat aloft. In he comes, bowls. He reaches forward to a good length delivery and guides that out through the covers to the edge of the field where Georgie Dockrell does the fielding.
Lawrence Grasty says, you don't want subtitles. I think the banality of shit commentary would crush your spirit.
Oh, no, I don't want subtitles on the commentary.
No, not the commentary.
Only on the sledging.
You just want to be able to hear what the players are saying to each other.
And Chris DeQuire sadly confirms that actually he would love to hear them sledge in Irish, but they haven't actually done it yet. More likely to say, you feckin' muppet, I fear.
You feckin' muppet. Talking of feckin' muppets, the bear will be in later. This is defended into the offside, but they've defended nicely by Root. It's good placement. He's going to come through for the single. And he moves to 16, England to 89 for 2. Is that Andrew Strauss's progeny there? I'm presuming.
Well, it's got a lot more hair than him. So
it has, but then he did have hair at one point, didn't he?
Well, so they say. He's getting to look more and more like that terrible portrait of him in the Lord's Pavilion.
Do you not remember him with hair? Is that before your
It was always
time?
fairly short and sparse when I was watching.
Okay. Oh, lovely pull by Morgan this time. It's one bounce into the grandstand, 4 runs. Really got hold of that. And so the man referred to his former teammates at Ireland as worthless has picked up another 4.
A few comments on national anthems.
Oh, right.
Mandawala says that the Sri Lankan one is fairly jolly. And Lawrence Grasty suggests we should use the Archers music instead.
Oh, yeah, maybe we should. Good ball from McCarthy, which is defended straight back to him by Morgan this time. More respect. He was up at 82 miles an hour there. He's got a little bit about him, McCarthy. He's got a very ridiculous hairstyle.
James Humberstone said the Australian government asked lead composer Peter Sculthorpe what he thought of the Australian national anthem. He said Waltzing Matilda was better.
Well, actually, I'll probably agree with him,
yeah,
to be
I think
honest.
most people would.
McCarthy in again from the pavilion end, bottom to the left-handed Morgan. Morgan flicks this from outside leg stump. He'll only get a single, I would think, out to deep backwards square. That's right. Now, I was looking at David Humberstone's website, and he's very impressive. He's got all sorts of PhDs in composition and music, and we should probably put you in. He's into experimental music. It never ceases to amaze me the brilliant range of abilities we have amongst our listeners. We should put you in touch with a tone list. That's Nick Nelson in Brooklyn, because he's into his avant-garde stuff, isn't he? This is defended back to McCarthy. And then he wrote a sort of elegy for Jonathan Trott, which was, well, interesting. Let's put it that way.
I'd love it.
You couldn't hum it.
If you made a band from all of the Guerrilla Cricket listeners, if you got both of those two together with Mog, for example.
Yeah, and Perko.
And
get Prike in there.
Prikey, James Sherwood, Rog McCann.
Rog with his double bass. I think.
Have we seen incidentally that Sherwood's started to do some songs for the forthcoming general election?
Has he?
Yes, they're all on his Twitter account,
yes,
on his SoundCloud. There's a very, very good Nigel Farage one.
I must listen to those actually. Yes, I saw those, but I didn't have time. I think I was at work last time I saw them. So Are we doing a general election?
Well,
through the
this
night?
is the
Is it
thing.
worth it though? I mean,
myself and Knackle, I know, have already kind of put hands up for it and started to send out Sherwood.
Very welcome to do it. I mean, I won't be there, but I think it's because it's a foregone conclusion, unfortunately. Dockrell, left arm over the wicket now to Morgan, who sort of seems to slightly overbalance on off stump and then goes back and chops it to backward point. There's no run.
Because sadly a majority of our fellow countrymen are xenophobic,
and
selfish
crazy.
gits.
And crazy. What can you do?
It's just a nice thing that it's all the nice ones who listen to us, isn't it?
It is.
And not Fred.
Defended through extra cover by Morgan, brings him another single. Yeah, it's what I don't. I mean, people talk about Theresa May and her strong and stable, ridiculous thing, motif. But what worries me more about Theresa May is her extraordinarily long legs. Has anyone else noticed this? When you see her walk, she's kind of stooped, but her legs, it's like that right said Fred.
I suspect it's just you in the male.
Oh, me in the male. No, but I don't mean this in a sort of sexual way, but it's just that she's... this is driven up to long off and they take a single.
But she rather like a crane.
Is she wearing an Empire Line dress?
Right. Oh,
like
no,
Jane
she was in
Austen
trousers
style?
yesterday. No, she was in trousers,
Oh.
I think, yesterday.
Okay.
She's quite stooped. I don't know, is she quite tall? I guess she is.
I have no idea.
I've never stood next to her.
No, nor have I.
Oh, he's swung this away on the onside. He's really picked that up. And it's cleared the fence, those ridiculously short boundaries, by about 10 metres. It's 6 more to EOI and Morgan.
Let's talk about sex. Let's talk about sex. Let's talk about sex. Let's talk about sex.
Now, I know we shouldn't talk about politicians, and especially female politicians, and we shouldn't talk to them, but I mean, there are some very odd-shaped male politicians. I mean,
Oh, God, yes.
who's that?
Prescott.
Prescott defended on the front foot to backward point. There's no run. Who's your favourite deformed politician? Just think about who is your favourite deformed politician.
Well, yes, tweet that in.
Answers on a postcard.
But I am still about 8 minutes behind on
Oh,
tweets,
right,
so I
okay.
should probably catch up with those before we get to random shouts of Peter Mandelson.
Yeah, well, yes, deformed in many ways, driven up to mid-on. Not that there's anything wrong with deformity, of course. That was, of course,
Well, there is if it's moral deformity.
Exactly, and I think with most Tories it is, isn't it?
Yes.
So that's fair enough. 103 for 2. Sorry, the 100 came up with that 6. And England now beginning to find some momentum, these two.
Jonah says, are England looking like a world-beating ODI team? This seems all a bit weak.
Yeah, no, I don't think they are at the moment. But, you know, there are many ways to get to 450.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is the thing. England are one of the better ODI teams in world cricket.
I think
Happiest trophy on home soil.
Yeah, they've got to be in the top 10 at least, I would say.
Or even the top 8. Expectations are high, though, because some bookmakers are making England favourites.
That's just because they get a lot of money from British
people betting on them.
So they always have to have shorter odds.
But it's partly
Otherwise
that, partly
they lose more
kind
money.
of how much do you really fancy India always coming to England and performing?
McCarthy bowls at the start of a new over, a good delivery, straight and good length, bringing Morgan forward. Back to the ball, the ball goes, no run.
We've got Jane with a Y tells us what Dave Tickner's been saying. Good to see the Lord's dress code that bans fancy dress but actively encourages dressing up like a Tory bell end remains in force.
Yep.
Dave Emrys says Boycott is still trying to complete an innings he started in the 60s.
In comes McCarthy, that's driven. Didn't really time it brilliantly. It's also well stopped by the mid-on, that is Peter Chase, and he wanted to do that, so he didn't have to chase it, and people could have said, there's Chase, chasing. So he just dived on it and stopped it anyway.
Cricket's
Katie, do you know how I cut Hendo's mic?
It won't be long. It doesn't have to be long. It doesn't have to be long. I'll be going soon. I'm not here all day.
George Dockrell says,
George Dockrell says.
George Dockrell. Bloody hell.
He's been tweeting us.
That's brilliant.
No, Cricket 365 tells us George Dockrell now plays back in Ireland for Leinster.
Yep. Defended on the front foot by Root into the covers. There's no run.
It is a rugby team. I will not accept that they play cricket.
Jane
Well,
with a
people
Y.
talk about Real Madrid's basketball team.
I've never understood that. The Croatians play quite a lot of basketball. Their football teams play basketball as well, don't they?
Yeah, well, they're
Croatia.
kind of like multi-sports.
Yeah, well,
clubs. Yeah.
Inter Milan is primarily a cricket club. They occasionally dabble in football, I believe.
Yeah,
but-
primarily is an interest.
I'd like to see them in the Champions Trophy.
Originally.
That's driven by Root straight to mid wicket. There'll be no run. He remains on 17 from 23 deliveries. England 104 for 2. Morgan 33 from 27. He's hit 2 ginormous sixes. And the England run rate has moved up now above 5.29.
I do think Mauro Icardi could be quite a whippy pace bowler. Who? Mauro Icardi plays up front for Inter.
You see, I don't follow my European football that closely, I have to say.
Lawrence Grasty corrects me after this ball.
McCarthy bowls, forced off the back foot by Root. Lovely shot, it's bounced, and it's then bounced over the man at square cover. So it's up to the fielder backing him up at on the fence to do the fielding. They get back for another 2. Root's picking up a lot of twos. Of twos. That's what's good about him.
We don't get a chance to do this very often.
Ma'am, somebody's at the door.
I didn't hear that.
Ma'am, somebody's at the door, I said.
Oh, right. I didn't hear that at all. You must have absolutely... You have the hearing of the young. That's what it is. McCarthy then in to complete his 4th over. Oh, a little bit of a leg glance. I'm not sure whether actually in the end it came off the pad. I think it is Tim Robinson is poised there to tap his knee. And indeed it is 1 to the extras column, 107 for 2. And Grubby is here. All is well with the world. Grubby is here. The bear will be here soon as well. And maybe things could just settle down a little bit and we shall see.
Lawrence Grasty corrected me. I read S *** to me shit in his tweet, but he actually meant sky.
Oh, right, okay.
They're easy to get mixed up.
It is 5:30, I think, with Jewish.
All right, we'll have a change in a minute. I just was going to say something, and I forgot what it was. Oh, yes, it was about George Dockrell tweeting us from the ground. I mean, that's the only thing that hasn't been done yet, isn't it? I mean, we have sort of, in the IPL and various T20 matches, we have commentators talking with players while they're involved in the game. Has anyone actually tweeted?
Generally banned their phones while the games are in progress. Because of course they can't be.
Yeah, but we've obviously got to make sure that we can get one in there. Swept by Root, very fine indeed, off the bowling of Georgie Dockrell, and that will run away towards the pavilion for 4.
There was.
They are one person. They are 2 alone. They are 3 together. They are for each other.
Partnership is gone past 50 now, 51 from 45 balls.
There was a famous story that Dickie Bird used to tell.
Onto the back foot goes Root. That's a lovely shot off the back foot. We'll only bring in 1 though.
Dickie Bird telling stories and anecdotes. That sounds unlikely.
It was in the very early days of mobile phones. A batsman came out to the crease and then came up to him and said, "I've just realised I left my mobile phone in my pocket. Can I give it to you? And if it rings, can you just answer it for me?"
Here's Dockrell in, holds that one back. Morgan goes back into his crease and then forces up to long on. Take 1 more.
And Julie, about 5 minutes later, this phone rings, so Dickie Bird answers it, and it was the captain from the dressing room saying, "Can you tell him to get a move on?"
Yeah, wasn't that Alan Lamb? I
think it was Lamb,
yeah. It rings a bell. 3 balls to go in this over. Root goes back to a ball that's on the line of leg stump, and plenty of time to firmly push that up to deep mid wicket. There's Gary Wilson. I do think it's odd that the Irish team is sponsored by Turkish Airlines. I'm not sure what the connection is.
Yeah, but most things are sponsored by Emirates and aren't necessarily in the UAE.
That's very true. Onto the back foot goes Morgan, giving himself room this time, and forces again out to Gary Wilson. On the fence in front of the grandstand, they take 1 more.
Muffin Nuffin is walking into town listening to us and passed this sign for the Artful Dodger pub. "Life is not a fairy tale. If you lose your shoe at midnight, you're drunk." So she thought of us.
Oh,